Hey guys, welcome to Pocket Saga. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Ash started in Kalos? Part 3. This story is Ash XYZ by the respected author Festivwillow69. Make sure to show some love for their work. Before starting, if you are interested in Pokemon fanfictions, you can consider subscribing this channel and like this video, that keeps me motivated to upload more. Now let's dive in. While passing through routes 15 to 17 along with Dendemil Town, where nothing significant happened except for Serena deciding to keep a Weavile after Trevor caught everything there, the heroes were taking a nap in a circle on a beautiful grassland area where it was so green and soft and flowers were everywhere, making it the perfect place to take a nap. All of their Pokemon were playing on the field, whether it's having a race like Greninja, Weavile and Talonflame are. Some were sparring like Chessie and Lucario. Others are just having a good time like Goodra and Lapras, as they utilize their abilities to make the experience more fun for everyone else. And after the experience with that Alakazam, that pushed Serena that they needed a speedy psychic mega edge as well, so she finally evolved her Eevee into Espeon, and made sure to teach it via TM Light Screen. With that in her new Weavile, she believed she was much more prepared for the next time they possibly meet Xdiox next. Once everyone was ready again, it took until 7 p.m. in the evening. Anastar City seemed normal for the most part, but what was beautiful was a giant chunk of pink crystal somewhat surrounded by a marble pier, close enough one could even touch it. It blended well with the orange sky and pink clouds. It's so beautiful. Shauna loved the view, gazing up at it. Monique nodded. It's certainly the most majestic thing I've ever seen. And mysterious. Trevor added. I wonder how such a wondrous thing came around. Well, nobody knows how the crystal exactly appeared, but allow me to tell you what I know. They turned around to see a classy old man approach them. It happened around 800 years ago. The Pokemon known as Yveltal spread its ominous wings, engulfing the lands of Kalos in darkness. At that moment, people and Pokemon throughout the land began to fall one by one. Yveltal let out a piercing cry and took to the sky, vanishing to an unknown location. Stories say that when it nears the end of its 1,000-year lifespan, Yveltal absorbs the life force of the living things around it in order to charge its own energy. Another tale talks of the appearance of just such a terrifying Pokemon. Back 3,000 years ago, the Kalos region was engulfed in a terrible war. According to the stories, a Pokemon appeared and stole the life force of countless living beings. Some people suspect the Pokemon that appeared was Yveltal, but there's no way to know. Maybe they're just using a legendary Pokemon as a metaphor for war and pestilence. In the tales, after Yveltal finished storing the energy it had absorbed, it transformed into a kind of cocoon, remaining in hiding deep in the mountains. According to old tales, as I say, tales and stories. So you think this and that are related? Serena asked curiously. It's one possibility. It's also theorized it's the meteorite that brought along the Mega Stones. Maybe. It seems like something Professor Sycamore would research, but now he's gone and no one has taken up his job as regional professor. Well, that's all I needed to say. How about you go over and meet Olympia? Oh yeah, the psychic type specialist. Trevor remembered. Greninja and I will win that for sure. Ash got all pumped up. Serena nodded. Yeah, Weavile and I still need to train some more before we can battle her. Then it's settled. Let's go. Ash yelled as he ran ahead to the gym, followed by the others. The building they found looked like an observatory with all visual aspects of one. The inside, however, looked much smaller. Just a simple living room-like area. However, there is a glowing light blue arrow pointing towards a glowing purple circle on the rug. Upon setting foot on it, however, it showed reality breaking apart as the walls, ceiling and floor broke away, revealing a light blue battlefield hovering over gears and surrounded by a dome sparkling with stars. Amazing. So mystical. Serena said as she was blown away by how beautiful the place looked. On the other end, a brown woman with curly purple hair and a silver cloak and black spandex stood on the other side. Greetings, Ash and friends. My name is Olympia Mantio, and I have been expecting you today, and your Greninja. She stated. Ash gasped from surprise. Whoa, how does she know my name and starter? I can see into the future, and you have a curious fate. Before you even arrived I sensed your presence, and upon seeing you face to face I've also read your past and future. A clairvoyant. Trevor pondered out loud. Indeed. Even with your greater than average boon of shiny Pokemon, along with receiving some of the best Mega Evolutions Kalos has to offer, your powers will still grow stronger and stronger from here. Well, I'd imagine. Ash commented. This is my 7th badge and that's not going to let me into the Pokemon League. Olympia closed her eyes. The Pokemon League. While that is indeed important for your journey, I also sense an immense danger. Something that scares me, even with my foresight. You and your friends must become as strong as the best of the league in order to face this threat. In order to do so, you will have to beat me. We shall begin immediately. Alright, let's go. As Ash went to his side of the field, Olympia used her telekinesis to bring a tiara with an assortment of key stones around it to her head. A fellow psychic came up to the field and shouted. The Anastar gym battle between Ash the challenger and Olympia the gym leader is about to begin. This is a 5-on-5 battle, and when all Pokemon on one side is unable to continue, the match is over. Only the challenger may substitute. Let the battle begin. Lucario, I choose you. Meowstic, battle time. A blue and white cat appeared on Olympia's side. Ash tapped on a key stone in his bracelet. Lucario, surpass evolution. Mega evolve. While his Pokemon began going through evolution, Olympia took her chance. Light screen. The constrained Pokemon formed a yellow barrier by the time Lucario was done with the Mega sequence. Use Stone Edge. Reflect. By the time Lucario formed the stones and sent them flying, the Psychic Cat already formed a blue barrier which softened the blows against him. A double screen layer. Trevor gulped. Ash will have a tough time dealing big damage with those in the way. Serena just smiled. I wouldn't be too sure about that. They turned to her as she explained, he has a way to break through these things. Lucario, return. Withdrawing his first Pokemon, he then called out, Garchomp, I choose you. Once his dragon type was out, Ash pressed another keystone. Garchomp, surpass evolution. Mega evolve. Once that was done, he ordered, use Brick Break. Charging forward at incredible speed, the mock Pokemon with its glowing scythe arm, slashed through the barriers and dealt a strong blow against the constrained Pokemon. Even with his type advantage against the move, there was a painful red line across his body as he struggled to stand up. Push it back with Psychic. His eyes glowing blue, he pushed the physically mighty dragon back. Push through and use Dragon Claw. To Meowstic's, and thus Olympia's shock, even in the restraining effect of Psychic's blue outline, Garchomp was able to move forward with some difficulty while growling from the effort. And with a green aura-covered attack, he struck Meowstic down, getting rid of the blue outline surrounding him. He roared in triumph as his friends were amazed by its strength. Trevor was especially trembling. So even something like Psychic can't restrain a Mega Garchomp's power. What fearsome power. Well, I'd imagine something like Alakazam would be able to do it better. Monique pointed out. Still, the fact that even if both of them are of 7th badge strength, Mega Garchomp could brute his way through a weaker Pokemon's psychic hold. Incredible. The tomboy complimented her boyfriend's Pokemon. Olympia wordlessly returned her Pokemon before levitating a Pokeball and sending it to a surprised assistant. My other Meowstic will be unable to do anything. She's too slow and frail to withstand a single attack with Reflect no longer in effect. I shall have to use other means. Starmie, battle time. As she brought her mysterious Pokemon out, she touched a keystone on the most outward right. Surpass evolution. Mega evolve. Ash recognized this Mega evolution as she ordered upon transformation, use Blizzard. Before Garchomp could retaliate, he was blasted by a force of chilly air and snow. He froze solid as he tried RO Roar, and then reverted back to normal while frozen. Garchomp is unable to battle. The winner is Starmie. Please, let me help get your Garchomp out of there first. Olympia offered. Use Scald on Garchomp, but only to defrost him. Starmie poured enough boiling water over the ice, creating steam as a result, which was enough to let the mock Pokemon be slowly released to the ground. Garchomp, return. Once Ash withdrew and thanked his Pokemon, he said to Olympia, I see that you're generous. You could have just left him frozen and simply moved off the battlefield, but you helped him anyway. Thank you. Despite my voice being monotone, I do have a heart capable of love and compassion. The gym leader stated. With a nod, Ash sent out his next Pokemon. Greninja, I choose you. Olympia smiled as she commanded. Use Blizzard. Dodge and use Dark Pulse. Barely able of leaping over the icy gales of Starmie's attack, Greninja formed a black ring in which a barrage of smaller black and purple rings hit against the vulnerable Mega Evolution, as it was blown back while reverting back, falling down. Starmie is unable to battle. The winner is Greninja. As she said that, Greninja's battle bond allowed the water starter to reach her augmented state again. Olympia smiled. There you are. Espeon, battle time. Once again, it was a Pokemon that he was familiar with thanks to Serena. He was even betting it'll have a moveset that's similar. It had a Mega Stone strapped to its neck. Surpass Evolution. Mega Evolve. As Espeon glowed, hair with a low braid sprouted from under her ears, bands formed with whips of fur coming from behind and above her paws, and the split between her tails grew while beads formed at the ends. Espeon took on a more mystical look with a purr as a rainbow helix hovered over her. Use Dark Pulse. Light Screen. Even with Greninja's greater speed, Espeon was just quick enough to erect another yellow barrier which defended against the dark rings launched against it. Dark Pulse. Again. Dazzling Gleam. Something that really caught the traveling group off guard is that while the ninja Pokemon made her second successful attack, Espeon persevered as she shined brightly, dissipating the offensive assault and took Greninja off guard as she was pushed back by the radiance of the Sun Pokemon's fairy brightness. Due to her weakened defenses, it only took one super effective hit for the shiny water starter to be defeated by the psychic type. Greninja is unable to battle. The winner is Espeon. This is the first time Greninja lost. Trevor noted. But Ash isn't concerned. Shauna pointed out. Does he have something else in mind? He likely does. Serena nodded. Greninja, return. Thanks buddy, we nearly got to. But now our victory is assured. Florges, I choose you. The white-flowered garden Pokemon was his next choice, to his friend's surprise. He tapped a keystone and yelled, Surpass Evolution. Mega Evolve. Like with Valerie's, Florges gained a bigger flower bed around her head, along with 2 more tails. Use Calm Mind. Florges closed her eyes and focused her power, allowing her power and defense to grow stronger. Future Sight. Then use Shadow Ball. Keep using Calm Mind. Even as she concentrated, that allowed her to be hit by an orb of black energy, which exploded upon contact. But the attack barely seemed to faze her. Shadow Ball. Again. Calm Mind. Once more. After Shadow Ball, the Future Sight finally came, and the fairy type found herself bombarded with beams of psychic energy coming from an alternate dimension. But even with a boosted attack like that, she only appeared to be scuffled by the stronger move. It was then that light screen finally wore off. Yes. Now use Moon Blast. The starry night-like roof perfectly made it look like the garden Pokemon was drawing power from the moon, as it was extra bright as she fired an especially potent attack in which Espeon tried to evade, but the explosion from the fairy attack was too big and powerful. With a scream, Espeon fell onto the field, defeated as it reverted back. Espeon is unable to battle. The winner is Florges. Just one more Pokemon. Monique gulped. I'm sure Ash will win. Serena assured her friend. Come on Ash. You're doing great. Shauna yelled. Wordlessly returning her Pokemon, the gym leader sent out her ace. Alakazam. Battle time. This Psy Pokemon had a Mega Stone won its right spoon, and it was a female due to its shorter mustache length. Pressing her middlemost keystone, Olympia exclaimed, Surpass Evolution. Mega Evolve. Once her ace was able to finish its augmentation, she ordered, Shadow Ball. Defend using Wish. Ash pleaded as his fairy type. Florges was able to hum while she envisioned a star passing by, before that was cut short by being hit. Shadow Ball again. Use Moonblast. Both Pokemon were able to create spheres of light and dark in which the two appeared to be even despite Florges' calm mind build up, because when the attacks collided there was no immediate push in either direction. Shadow Ball. Forming another orb, this time made of darkness, she managed to fire it into the first Shadow Ball, helping push it along. And use Psychic. With her eyes glowing blue, the Psy Pokemon's attacks gained a blue outline, which helped push them enough to overwhelm Florges, whom with a cry was subject to a massive explosion which everyone had to brace against the shock wave. Unwilling to let him get a breath, The gym leader commanded, Moonblast, one last time. Dodge it. Even with the 3 attacks against her, the garden Pokemon floated over the attack, which was visually enhanced when Wish took effect with a passing star going over and sprinkling dust over Florges, healing her up. Calm Mind and then Moonblast. Counter with Psychic. Even with Mega Alakazam's strongest attack, the stack of Calm Minds were too high, for even when she was sent crashing into the psychic field, it was more of a hindrance than anything. Able to form a pink sphere of fairy energy, she fired it at the psychic type whom was unable to dodge in time and was caught in another powerful explosion. When the dust settled, Alakazam was defeated. Alakazam is unable to battle. The winner is Florges, and thus the victory goes to Ash the challenger. Alright. Ash celebrated with a fist pump. You did awesome, Florges. Nice bulking up. The garden Pokemon nodded in appreciation. That was really good, Monique praised, putting her hands together. Yeah, but that felt almost too easy. Serena wondered out loud as she scratched her head. That other Mega Alakazam was able to anticipate our every move, and it was only brought down thanks to Monique's interference. I can explain that, Serena. Olympia turned her eyes to the tomboy. While X-Dioxys was free-ranging and going all out with its psychic power, mine have been trained to not overwhelm my challengers with its near-perfect foresight, lest nobody be able to beat me and go on to the Pokemon League. That makes sense. Trevor nodded in understanding. All of my used Pokemon battled bravely, and now must take a good rest. They can sense my proudness for them even in their Pokeballs. You have also battled very well with your Pokemon Ash, and you Florges. Create your own path for the future, and let nothing stand in your way. As proof of your victory, here is the Psychic Badge. So cool. Shauna cheered. One more badge away from entering the Pokemon League. Trevor was also getting excited. We're so close. I'm so impressed with how far we've come. Later into the night, Monique was the only one awake while she did her magic. Even if gazing into the future was more for psychics than hex maniacs, they could do more than talk to ghosts if one was dedicated enough. After drawing the right runes on the ground, lighting candles and writing tags with mystic symbols, the girl began to pray. O Spiritus Superni Magni, da nobis aspectum advidendum futura pro nobis. For the past few seconds there was nothing but quiet silence, but just then her breath hitched as her arms spread wide with hawk-like tensed hands along with her hair floating outwards and her eyes rolling to the back of her head, uttering words. Takeover. Zygarde. Lysandre. Clash. Friend and foe. With a gasp, her candles went out and her eyes went back to normal. Ash. Monique whispered before falling onto her front, passed out from the effort and strain. Hey Ash, I bet I can kick more leaf piles than you. Shauna yelled out. You're on. Ash chuckled as he and his one of 2 girlfriends went to play together, leaving the rest of their friends to lightly laugh at their antics. In the morning a couple of days ago, they were worried about Monique having fainted outside, but were reassured she was okay. While she hasn't retained all the information she saw in the future, some of it had to do with Lysandre and a mysterious legendary named Zygarde, along with a boy with a Charizard X form. Seeing as they had no idea when these would occur, in what order or what they even represent, the group decided to just keep those things in mind and be prepared. Don't get too crazy, you two. Serena called out. We're getting close to the nearest town. Don't worry. Not like there's a lot. Ash responded. As he went to kick another pile of leaves, that particular one he accidentally punted a small green Pokemon which sent the crying creature into a tree. Ash was blue in the face with both horror and remorse that he kicked a hiding Pokemon while the others were shocked. Ah, I'm sorry. The guilty teen boy cried out as he ran to the small thing, getting a potion out. However, the Pokemon despite the kick became nervous and terrified, and jumped to get away, only to accidentally land in Shauna's outstretched arms. Whoa. Hey. You're okay. You're okay. The girl tried to soothe the quivering Pokemon whom couldn't escape her grasp. The others came up to the two, wondering it was that she had. Somehow, it seemed like in her touch, while still frightened, was slowly calming down. What kind of Pokemon are you? I've never seen a Pokemon like that, and I've memorized over 700 kinds. Trevor remarked. So could it be a new one? Shauna asked. Very likely. We keep finding around 100 new Pokemon in a different region every few years, give or take a dozen. Now that's what I call a find. Ash commented. It appeared that the thing was not liking the surrounding people, but as soon as Shauna tried tickling it, it started squirming within her hands with laughter which made her laugh. So cute. I've decided to take care of whatever this thing is. Are you sure that's a good idea? Monique questioned. We don't know if it's safe or surprisingly harmful. I'll learn by taking care of it. Yeah, like how Marie Curie did as she took care of some polonium and radium while unaware they were radioactive. Trevor asked skeptically. That caused her to box some and gently lowered it to the ground. Oh, that's a good point. She admitted while scrubbing her hands against the ground. Well, I'm sure there's other ways we can take care of it. I think for now, I'll call you Squishy. Why Squishy? Serena inquired with a confused gaze. Well, while I was holding it, it felt like one of those squishy gooey toy. Was it called Oobleck or something? They all shrugged. Suddenly they could feel the earth shake and heard rumbling in the distance as they all turned to the right. A distance away, a group of gravelers were tumbling across the ground, and they were heading right for the teens. Greninja, water shuriken. Ash sent out his water starter, whom formed multiple projectiles made of water formed like stars and threw them at the incoming rock ground types, either blowing them back or diverting the rest away. Once the herd was either gone or unconscious, a Sceptile soon appeared with a mega stone around its neck in a dark green scarf, followed by a boy trying to catch up to him. Sceptile, wait for me. He appeared to be just like Trevor, short and not very athletic since he was struggling to keep running. He soon stopped while placing his hands on his knees to catch his breath. Wait, did you by any chance have to do with those graveler that almost ran us over? Ash asked. Sorry about that. The green-haired boy apologized. I was trying to catch one. So who might you be? Trevor questioned. Names. Sawyer Thomas Pascal Sharp. Wait, your name is the reverse of Tom Sawyer. Ash chuckled. Yeah, I get that from everyone. It seemed that he's recovered enough from wheezing, as he stood up straight and talked normally, if still slightly winded. Hey, Squishy's gone. Shauna cried out as she looked all over. Squishy? Sawyer questioned. Indeed, for the little green thing was hopping away, not wishing to burden the kind people with its burden, as Team Flare were still on the lookout, specifically nearby over a cliff right over a ravine. Asnix was growing frustrated with trying to find her target. But thankfully with her glowing goggles, it detected something with similar energy, and zoomed in to find Squishy. She smiled. Found you, she said in the same cold tone she always did. Spread out and surround the target in that vicinity. She pointed in Squishy's direction. Shauna and the others plus Sawyer were looking around, calling out to the little green Pokemon. Sawyer, thanks for helping us look. Ash said gratefully. No prob. I want to see what this Squishy is myself. From above, Shauna's Talonflame and Serena on her Altaria were surveying from the skies while Greninja and Sawyer's Sceptile jumped from tree to tree like some ninjas. Squishy meanwhile was hopping across a stony area, trying to hide when it became surrounded by suited agents and their combination of Houndooms and Drapions. The little Pokemon wasn't intimidated, but a feminine voice attracted its attention. Asnix and her Glalie, which had a mega stone stamped onto its forehead. Well. Trying to get away, are we? You're a bad little Z. Glalie, use Ice Beam. Opening its mouth, the face Pokemon fired a zigzagging beam of neon blue energy, which caused an explosion that the teens heard from a decent distance away. Asnix held up a frozen, fainted Pokemon in one hand, grinning with her victory. Target acquired. Let's return to the lab. There's Squishy. Asnix turned her attention to the teens who caught up to the disturbance they were making. What do you think you're doing? Let Squishy go now. Tisk, how bothersome. With you all we can't win. The boss has told us to avoid confrontation with you if we're not prepared considering your unusually powerful teams. Fine then, take it. Throwing the creature, Shauna ran to catch it. Change of plans. We're retreating. You all are lucky we're not allowed to touch you, but once that's no longer an issue, you'll wish you were eliminated by us. Walking away, Team Flare left the teens alone. Woo, at least we have Squishy back. The girl sighed. You feel cold. What did she do to you? I'm glad we have Squishy back safe and sound. Serena commented. Luckily we have revives. Ash said as he got out an edible crystal and gave it to Squishy, whom came back to consciousness, opening its one eye. Why don't we find a place to rest and camp out, so that we're prepared in case they come back? Sawyer suggested. Yeah, good idea. Monique agreed. So the 6 teenagers went back to the woods to set up camp. Once Squishy was introduced to all the Pokemon in the group, it felt safe amongst such powerful yet benevolent Pokemon. To their amazement, the green Pokemon didn't need food, but sunlight to act as revitalizing nourishment. As Sawyer drew in a book, he suddenly felt like someone was watching him from behind, and turned to see Monique, almost breathing down his neck as she watched him draw from the left side. Gah! He sort of flipped out, causing her to back away. "A little space please." "Oh, sorry." The girl apologized nervously with a wavering smile and wide eyes. "I just liked how you were drawing Squishy is all." "Oh, thank you." The boy replied, still creeped out. "I'm making a note about everything I can since this is my first adventure. I come from the Hoenn region, which is where I got Sceptile. Maybe I'll ask the next gym leader about Squishy." "Hoenn, huh? Interesting." Ash remarked. "I originally came from Kanto, having only come to Kalos a bit of a while ago." "Oh nice," Sawyer said with excitement. "How many do you have?" "I've got 5 so far. Next gym is going to be my 8th. Serena's and Shauna's too." Ash did so great. "He's the best." "Well, hopefully I'll be the best so that I'm the champion, but I'd be totally fine if he was champion. I'm especially trying to make a team where I can counter Ash pretty good but still have a team that can beat anybody. In that case, how about taking a trip to Terminus Cave?" Sawyer suggested. "You could catch an Aggron." "Oh yeah." The tomboy smiled. "They're some of the bulkiest steel types. If it can Mega Evolve, I bet it could counter even Ash's Mega Lucario." "Sounds like a challenge." Ash smirked. "I knew we'd face each other in the Pokemon League, but I didn't know that you were especially gunning for me." "Well, of course. You have all the best Pokemon. Greninja, Charizard, Lucario, Garchomp. I'm trying hard to exploit your weaknesses." Looking forward to it. The 2 childhood friends and lovers stared at each other determinedly while the others just watched. Later, when everyone else was asleep, Squishy was the only one awake in Shauna's arms as it used its ability to see via the earthly nature, seeing Team Flare walking through the woods at night. Needing to go, the little Pokemon got out of her hands and jumped off her face like a platform, waking her up. "Ah, wah Squishy." Sitting up, she saw it go and jump onto and over Ash's face, waking him up. "Squishy, come back." The pink pajama wearing girl ran off, resulting in all the others in their pajamas to follow suit. However, icy energy came down and exploded against their feet, forcing all of the teens to fall back onto the ground. "Ah, everyone all right?" Ash asked. Once everyone confirmed, he brought out his water starter. "Lucario, I choose you. Foxy, I choose you. Gardevoir. Raiden. Go. Go. Gengar. Sceptile. Let's go." Once all the Pokemon were summoned, they found that Squishy has been found by Team Flare. "Ice Beam." A woman's voice commanded. Seeing another ice-type attack, Serena ordered. "Flamethrower." With a wave of her wand, the shiny fire starter countered the attack, which caused an explosion after a stalemate. Up ahead, they saw Team Flare again and they had some Mega-evolved Pokemon as backup. A Mega Houndoom, a Mega Drapion, a Mega Glalie and a Mega Weavile. "You again?" Ash cried out. "I thought you said that you couldn't touch us." Asnix snicked coldly with a finger wag. "I said we couldn't confront you unprepared. But as you can see, we certainly are prepared now. Now, use Hail." Glalie then started to glow with neon blue energy, which caused the sky to fill with clouds, and hail to start falling to the ground. "Flamethrower." The one with Houndoom commanded, and the dark Pokemon thus spewed a torrent of flame. "Raichu, counter the Flamethrower with Thunderbolt." Lucario, Gardevoir, Gengar, Sceptile, surpass evolution. Mega Evolve. Ash, Shauna, Monique and Sawyer yelled respectively as the 3 touched their keystones, and the 3 Pokemon began to take their ultimate forms. Sceptile especially was new as it began to look more dragon-like, with its head spreading wider, the 2 leaves on its wrists growing longer, an X formation of pine needles appearing across its chest going to the middle of its back, and its tree-like tail extending so that it more resembled like a tree-themed missile. Gardevoir. Use Moonblast on Drapion. Use Shadow Ball on Houndoom. Weavile. Use Night Slash on Delphox. Weavile, whom had a larger plume of red feathers, ice covering its already sharp as hell claws and a feathered tail that also had an ice-covered claw at the end, dashed with such speed, it even caught the incredibly fast Lucario and Raichu off guard, felling the fox Pokémon with its purple glowing claws. Dragon Claw. Noticing an incoming threat, the sharp claw Pokémon evaded the green blades of Mega Sceptile, but that left it defenseless for what's next. Aura Sphere. Forming an orb of bright blue energy, he sent the honing attack towards the ice, dark type, whom could only look in terror as it was blasted through the air and crashed into the ground, defeated. Grr. Glalie. Use Blizzard on Sceptile. Counter with Leaf Storm. Light Screen. Trevor told Raiden. But despite both the added defense of a yellow force field and a powerful grass-type move coming from a Mega Evolution, the superior ice type was just too strong as the grass dragon type was bombarded with enough snow and ice that he groaned defeat while reverting back to its normal state, frozen where it stood. Asnix coldly smiled before Glalie was blasted by an aura sphere, not paying attention to Ash. Gasping, she saw that both her Pokémon were down, and her flunkies were also out of Mega Pokémon. Grr. Return. Once both her Pokémon were withdrawn, she ordered the two other grunts, retreat. Don't think you've won, kids. We didn't come alone. An explosion off in the distance alerted them all, and that's when Shauna realized. Ah. Squishy. The girl then ran towards the off-distant explosion, forcing the group to make a choice. Monique. Sawyer, follow Shauna. We'll handle Asnix. The two nodded as they chased after Shauna, as soon as Sawyer returned his starter Pokémon. Upon reaching the place, they saw Xdiox and his Mega Alakazam, whom was greatly hurt but otherwise not fainted, and he was overlooking what appeared to be a greatly exhausted Squishy. Well, that was unexpected, but now I'll be able to capture the target. Moonblast. Shadow Ball. Dragon Pulse. Looking down to their right, they saw 3 attacks aimed for Mega Alakazam. He tried to hold all 3 of them back with Psychic, but unfortunately the damage done to it made concentration hard as the attacks were able to reach the Psy Pokémon, and with a powerful explosion, the Mega-evolved Pokémon crashed into the rocks in its regular form. Xdiox growled as he saw what appeared to be the group with their Mega Gardevoir, Mega Gengar and Salamence. Looks like you caught on faster than we hoped for. I'll have to retreat for now. Return. Once he brought out his Espeon to do his dazzling gleam getaway, the teens ran to Squishy. Squishy, are you okay? Shauna asked her bruised Pokémon. As the night was starting to go away and daybreak was replacing the sky, the light bathing the Pokémon allowed the creature to rejuvenate, the injuries disappearing. Shauna picked it up and hugged it. Oh Squishy, I'm sorry for not protecting you. I won't let you go again. We might want to follow that guy into the cave. Sawyer suggested. It looks like an entrance to Terminus Cave. Okay. Monique nodded. Soon, the rest were able to catch up. Is Squishy alright? Serena questioned. Yes, it's fine. I'm glad everyone's alright. Indeed. That was quite the battle. Trevor remarked. It isn't over yet. They'll try to get whatever this Pokémon is again. Ash said grimly. I think the rest are hiding in the cave. It might be Terminus. Sawyer repeated. Then let's go in there. Ash nodded, along with the rest of his friends as they entered the cave. Turns out that while close, the cave they entered was not a vein that entered into the main Terminus cave, so that means Team Flare got away. There wasn't even any Pokémon. Before saying goodbye to his new friends, Sawyer told them where to look out for the main entrance of Terminus Cave, which was where he found it, since the two were going in opposite directions. After taking a bit of a morning nap due to waking up in the middle of the night, he and them split ways. After another couple of days, they eventually did find the real Terminus Cave, which appeared to be an abandoned mining shaft. Everyone got onto either Charizard, Altaria or Aerodactyl and flew down to the ground below the wooden structures due to looking like they could collapse from 5 people standing on them. Those 3 Pokémon were then swapped for Greninja, Espeon, Gardevoir and Florges and Gengar. Upon entering the cave, they found it was beautiful inside with glowing moss, giving the cave a bright blue glow to it in the dark. Wow, it's just like Sawyer said. Serena marveled the atmosphere. Abandoned by humans, It's now home to Pokemon if one looks deep enough. So cool. Monique was rather enjoying the sights of a Pokemon, like an Ariados clinging to a stalactite, a Shuckle climbing onto a rock, and a Lyron eating another rock. Jumping away from the group before Shauna could stop it, Squishy went and started going down a mine shaft. Squishy, wait for us. Shauna tried telling it as they followed the green thing. Come on, wait please. How are a bunch of teenagers having trouble keeping up with something the size of a small sandwich? Ash questioned incredulously. I don't know, just don't lose Squishy. They eventually stopped when they saw Squishy stop on a rock. Were you trying to find something? Perhaps it's too dark for Squishy to see. Trevor pondered. Good point. Ash agreed. Charizard, come out. Letting his shiny Kanto fire starter out, the group could see the caves much more clearly thanks to his tail as they followed Squishy down certain paths, some of which were difficult. Why couldn't Squishy have led us down an easier path? Trevor moaned as they kept going until they found what appeared to be an empty chamber. I wonder how deep into this cave we're going is. Monique questioned. Feels like we've been going down below the surface for a long time. This particular cavernous room had a chasm in the center, which Squishy went to and started to jump down between narrow ledges. Squishy, I'm not sure we can follow that deeply. Shauna tried telling her companion but it wasn't listening. Serena pinched her nose. Geez. Espeon, use Psychic to help us all down. Same for you Gardevoir. Shauna told her fairy, Psychic type. Both Pokemon nodded as almost everyone was covered in a blue glow and were levitated down the chasm, Greninja and Charizard not needing it due to just jumping in between the chasm walls easily and flying. Plus Greninja's immune to psychic moves, even if for utility reasons. With their combined psychic power, Espeon and Gardevoir even forced the walls apart that came within a 6 feet diameter in between the group, carving their way down with ease. Reaching to the bottom, the group were able to find Squishy heading to a green-lit lake in the cave. Wow, this is so beautiful. Shauna loved the glow and color of the lake. Certainly a phenomena of nature. Trevor agreed with a smile. I wonder if this is Squishy's home. Monique wondered out loud. Going over to the ledge, Squishy then jumped into the lake, swimming around in the green water. It then trilled as it started to glow bright with energy. Soon, it even disappeared. Squishy, where are you? Now Shauna was really starting to panic. Gardevoir, can you detect Squishy with your empathy powers? Yet despite her plea, the Embrace Pokemon only shook her head with a frown. Maybe Squishy is just gone. Serena said, believing that if an empath can't find it, then it must not be here. Suddenly, a chill wind with snow and an ice beam shot at them and proceeded to splash some of the water at them before freezing into ice, forcing the teens to step back in fright. What was that? Trevor gasped. Well, you kids are certainly in a lot of trouble. And with the two of us together, make it double. Looking towards the emotionless, cold voices, the teens spotted Asnix and X-Diox together with a Mega Abomasnow and Mega Alakazam. You again. Ash growled. You just can't stay out of our business, can you? You may have been able to beat each of us, Asnix said before her partner continued. But together we're truly unbeatable. Charizard, Espeon, Gardevoir, Florges, Gengar, surpass evolution. Mega Evolve. In sequence, each of the teens' Pokemon evolved into their Mega forms, and Charizard became its X transformation. Alakazam, Shadow Ball against Gengar. X-Diox went first as he tried to one-shot the Ghost type, but they were ready this time. Light Screen. Serena ordered. Also use grassy terrain. Trevor told his Florges. The quickened Pokemon were able to both put up a light yellow barrier and fill the cave with mystical green energy before the opposing attack connected with the pink shadow Pokemon, the explosion not doing too much damage as it was blown back with a frown. Abomasnow. Blizzard. Charizard. Fire Blast. Firing a Huo Kanji, it burned right through the blizzard and exploded in a fury of flame as Abomasnow was taken down, smashing into a wall. Asnix braced herself from the shock wave before growling. What good of a Mega Evolution are you? Return. Go. Glaceon. Mega Evolve. Alakazam, use Psychic on Charizard. Help Charizard with Psychic. Serena and Shauna aided. With their glowing eyes, Alakazam was both captured in Espeon's psychic energy, distracting some of its focus to trying to harm Charizard, while the flame Pokemon was surrounded by another blue layer of energy by Gardevoir, which helped him as well. Dragon Claw on Alakazam. Moving forward instead of any other direction with green aura covering his claws, he managed to land a strike against the Psy Pokemon. Due to its atrocious physical defense, the Dragon Claw smashed right into the wall behind it, reverting back to normal. What especially doesn't help that Asnix's Glaceon was also knocked out. Fine. Metagross. Go. Go. Starmie. Once their two Pokemon were out, they began to make their next move. Surpass Evolution. Mega Evolve. Gengar. Use Thunderbolt. Monique yelled. Florges. Use Moonblast. While Florges made a star appear to trail across above them, the shiny pink ghost type shot a blast of lightning which hit the female agent's evolving Starmie, thus negating its mega form, along with Moonblast hitting Xdiox's steel, psychic type. However, Metagross was able to grow 4 more legs and looked much more menacing. Meteor Mash. Zooming in, the Iron Leg Pokemon rammed into Gardevoir before she could react, and she screamed as she fell into the water, and transformed back into its normal form. Gardevoir. Shauna cried out in worry. Fire Blast. Latching himself onto the Iron Leg Pokemon, he let fire build in his mouth. Get it off with Hammer Arm. Psychic. Shadow Ball. While Espeon kept Metagross from moving too much and Gengar distracted the pseudo-legendary with an attack to the face, Charizard finalized it with a blast into the center of the top of its head, creating a fiery explosion. The flame Pokemon used the point-blank explosion to float off while Metagross de-evolved back to normal and crashed to the ground, defeated. They're handing us our butts. Stop screwing around, Xdiox. How can they beat my Metagross in one move? Return. Once he did, the two agents got out every remaining Pokeball they had. Go. In order, a Weavile, Mamoswine, Glalie, Espeon, Gardevoir and Gallade were summoned. We'll show you that we are not to be trifled with. Asnix growled with seething frustration. All of you, attack at once. However, Squishy sensed the kind of threat they were going for, and let itself appear in between, glowing green all the while as it trilled, the cry echoing through the caves. Similar creatures by the dozen started to appear out of the blue, all having used invisibility. So many cells, Xdiox exclaimed. With a single burst that sent a wave, all the cells zoomed towards Squishy, which soon went from a blob-like thing to a black and green canine. Wait, that's the same thing that hurt my Alakazam back then. With a deep growl, it used Land's Wrath to cause the earth around it to explode with green power, cracking and bursting that all 6 of the opposing Pokemon were sent flying into the back wall, not even getting the chance to Mega Evolve. The 2 Flare members were shocked to see such power. Climbing up over the rocks that were upturned, Shauna saw the powered-up dog dash away deep into the caves. Squishy. Shauna yelled after it, having returned her fainted Pokemon back to her ball. Asnix and Xdiox managed to return all their Pokemon. Capture failed. We'll have to retreat, the woman said as she and her partner fled into one of the mine shafts. Charizard, return, Ash said to his fire starter. Greninja, let's go find Squishy. I'm coming too, Serena proclaimed. Trevor, stay here with Shauna. Monique, we'll need you to come with us. Okay. The Hex Maniac complied as the 3 tried to follow the augmented Squishy. As said Squishy escaped the caves, the creature soon split apart so that it was just the one cell. It became invisible for its own protection. Back inside the caves, the 3 returned to Shauna and Trevor. Did you find Squishy? The caves split off into more than 3 paths. Monique sighed. We've lost it. We need to find Squishy. Don't worry, we'll find it, Ash assured Shauna. First, let's get out of this cave. Greninja, use Dig, Ash commanded. Greninja, whom was already in her battle bond state, dug underground facing against Mega Aggron, Serena's newest catch after they found Squishy. The shiny water starter dug underground. Counter with Brick Break against the ground. Serena countered. The hulking pure steel type's right arm glowed white as it proceeded to punch the ground, his enhanced strength allowing him to split the ground and expose the ninja Pokemon. Counter with Water Shuriken. Jumping from the crags, she formed stars made of compressed water on her back and threw 3 right into Aggron's face, whom even with its almost unequal defense, the attack appeared to have hurt quite a bit based from the closed eyes and groaning. Dark Pulse. Stone Edge. As the two had their attacks connect, a guy walking by heard the explosions, and even felt a shock wave come from the left. Iron Head. The steel plate on the top of his head started to glow white, and he charged, although it wasn't going terribly fast. Ice Beam. From her mouth she fired a zigzagging ray of icy neon blue energy, but it paled against the incoming charge of Mega Aggron, and proceeded to ram itself into Greninja, whom croaked with pain as she was sent flying back, but did a backflip to land on her feet. She did have to take a knee however. You good to keep going? Ash asked his starter, to which she nodded. Stone Edge. Let's go. Forming white orbs that turned into rocks, he fired them at the ninja Pokemon. Dodge. With her superior speed, she leapt out of the way. Now use Water Shuriken. Forming more stars, she threw them at key points she spotted in between Aggron's buffed armor, and made 3 critically precision-based strikes which resulted in watery explosions and a pained cry. Serena gasped as she saw that her Aggron turned back into his regular form, and collapsed to the ground. Aggron is unable to battle. The winner is Greninja, Trevor declared. Monique clapped for her friends. Greninja's so cool. The Hex Maniac complimented. So even something as bulky like Aggron can't beat his Greninja. The tomboy uttered to herself. For the first time, she wondered if she had any chance of beating her childhood friend. Did he have something truly indomitable? Woo, great match Serena. She got pulled out of her thoughts when Ash called to her. Aggron sure is strong, but I'm sure with the proper training, he'll be harder to beat for sure. As he laughed, her confidence began to rise again. No, Aggron is still freshly caught. After some training and a bit of protein and zinc in its diet, he'll be even more durable and hard-hitting. Thank you, Ash. She smiled as she replied, that was great. Let's get these two healed up. Yeah. Unknown to them, the same teenage guy was watching them, both impressed by the display, and glad he finally found them. By tomorrow in the morning after waking up in Kuriway Town, they were about to depart when they heard a voice. Finally, turning to their left, they spotted the guy. He looked angry. I finally found you. The ones who disgraced him. Disgraced? Trevor asked, not liking what he was saying. You've ruined Professor Sycamore's reputation. He had a dream, I was helping him. I was going to be like him, but you had to destroy what I was aspiring to be. Serena scoffed. Well, to be fair, he wasn't that great. Shut up. The tomboy looked shocked by his shout and composed, yet enraged voice. You had no right to devastate my professor. You had no right to make him quit his job. You had no right to desecrate something special. You, me, battlefield. Now, one-on-one with Greninja and my Charizard. If you win, then nothing happens. If I win, you hand over all your Mega Stones. That's crazy. Serena called him out. Like we'll hand them over even if you win. Wait. Ash stopped her. I'm confident I can beat him. But Ash, Trevor complained. What if he's strong enough to fight the Elite Four? Even with Greninja's super form you'll get creamed. Please don't take mine. Monique pleaded with Elan as she covered her ring which had her keystone. My mother gave me my own Gengarite and keystone. They're all that I have left of her. Turning his gaze, his face briefly shifted from furious to somewhat sympathetic. All right then. She can keep hers, since I won't take mementos. Then he went back to mad. But all the rest of you will have too. You're on. Ash agreed. Does he truly believe he can beat this person? Serena thought to herself. Going over to a battlefield, all the others sat away, none as the referee this time as the two determined teenage boys stared at each other, this battle determining whether an adventure stops, or continues. Greninja was already in her Ash Greninja form by defeating a nearby wild Pokemon first. Charizard, come out. Elan sent out his fire starter. He had a metal plate necklace containing a Mega Stone in the center. Pressing a key stone in a bracelet on his wrist, he shouted, Beyond Evolution. Mega Evolve. Once that was done, the battle began. So that's what a regular colored Mega Charizard X looks like. Serena commented. That's certainly cool. A black one. Trevor noted. Water Shuriken. Dragon Claw. As the ninja Pokemon threw 3 stars, Charizard's claws glowed with green aura and slashed them apart. Use Dig. As soon as the shiny water starter burrowed into the ground, Elan shouted. Use Flamethrower into the hole. Ash gasped as the soaring fire, dragon-type fired blue flames into the hole, which caused an underground explosion which sent Greninja flying in the air, having burst through the ground against her will. Dragon Claw. Counter with Water Shuriken. Recovering quickly, she formed a water star on her back which she grabbed to slash against the green claws of Charizard X. A mini explosion forced the two back, aiding Greninja to land on the field. Dark Pulse. Flamethrower. Rings of darkness and a plume of blue fire clashed in between the two Pokémon, and this caused an extra powerful explosion that made every trainer brace against it. There was a lot of smoke in the air. Nodding with his eyes aimed somewhere else, Ash ordered. Use Dig. Once more. That trick again. Flamethrower down the hole. Breathing fire where he believed he dug, the attack instead just hit solid ground. What? Ash grinned. Who said we had to make a new hole? Greninja burst from the ground normally and rammed into the surprised Charizard, causing him to groan. Counter with Dragon Claw. The flame Pokémon tried to slash at the water starter, but she managed to jump off just in time. Keep it up. Water Shuriken. Forming another star, the two clashed with surprising amount of equal reactions. While Greninja was definitely faster, it appeared Charizard was not struggling to catch up. His Charizard is faster than a normal one. Did he feed it vitamins? Ash thought to himself. Use Blast Burn. Charizard combusted into blue flame with a roar, and punched the ground in between them, causing the ground to crack and glow with heat. Jump. With a blitz of speed, she managed to avoid the fiery explosion Charizard caused. Water Shuriken. Before Charizard had a chance to recover, Greninja formed and threw 3 water stars at the Kanto starter, which caused both a watery and steaming explosion considering the heat. The ninja Pokémon landed gracefully as everyone saw that as the smoke cleared, Charizard was back to normal and knocked out. Yay! Ash won. Shauna cheered as everyone ran to Ash and Greninja, whom reverted back to her normal state. Charizard, are you okay? Alon asked her comrade, whom grunted with a nod. He then called out to them. This isn't over. I will avenge my missing teacher, and take your Mega Stones. You're not worthy of them. My name is Alon Silver. Remember that. Returning his Pokémon, Alon walked off. I didn't think Sycamore quitting would have such an effect on someone. Shauna remarked. Hopefully we won't see him in the Pokémon tournament. Trevor gulped. I don't know. We'll definitely meet again. Ash pondered out loud. I can feel it. In the morning after a night of training, mostly Ash, all the others were up and awake making breakfast when they noticed an oddity. Ash sure is taking his time. Shauna commented. That's because he's been training till sunrise. That battle with Alon really got him motivated to get stronger. Trevor said. Monique stood up. I'll check on him. If he died of fatigue, I'll use my hexes to bring him to life. The others sweated a bit from what she said as she went Ash's tent. Opening it, she said, Ash, it's ready. Ready. The boy groaned as he got up, his face a bit red. Ash, are you okay? Serena asked her childhood friend. Why don't you wash up? However, as he tried to walk, he tripped on his blanket and his face fell into Monique's large bosom, making it bounce while the girl became mortified while everyone else gasped. Oh wow. This feels nice. The trainer snuggled further onto Monique, whom was so shocked she didn't think of backing up, and the two fell with her yelling as they tumbled to the ground. Tasty marshmallow. He then clamped his mouth down on her right breast, causing her to squeal so high it was nearly inaudible. Ah, please, help. She tried to scream with a nerve-wracked smile and heavy blush. Ash, get off of her. Serena told her boyfriend as she and Shauna pulled him off, where he groaned before coughing and snorting up running snot. Ash, your arm is burning. A fever. The other girl gasped as they laid him down, Monique frowning as she saw the wet spot where his mouth was. Why do I have to be the sick one? Ash groaned. I hate sick episodes. Yeah, especially when the one person gets better and everyone else becomes sick in the end. Shauna responded. Suddenly Trevor came in with wearing a hazmat suit going frantic. Code green. Code green. We have a man down. Repeat. Man down. Dragging Ash away from the girls with surprising strength, he went super fast, picking up a dust cloud with his speed with hammer clangs, wood sawing and power tools being used to create essentially a plastic bubble room around the ill Ash in his sleeping bag. Alright, We'll need every known cure known to man. We'll need Tylenol, ibuprofen, oron berries, pecha berries, citrus berries, leeches, a hook, bone saw. Serena clonked the hyperventilating kid and shook him around. Get a hold of yourself, Trevor. You're not making things better. Serena, let me handle this. She led Serena away only to shake the yelping redhead instead. Calm down, Trevor. Stop panicking. She then slapped him before Monique interrupted her. Let me take care of this. Trevor, everything is going to be all right. She also slapped him only to reveal the likes of Grace with boxing gloves, Tierno with a metal pipe, Professor Sycamore with a gun, Viola with a bat, Diantha with a crowbar and Lysandre with a spiked mace in one hand and a battle axe in the other when Serena yelled at them. 1. Hey, none of you are supposed to be here. Go back to your respective places in the story. All of them grumbled as they went away, before Tierno ran back and knocked Trevor out with his pipe. Because we're best friends, he justified before leaving. Right. Now that we've narrowly avoided killing Trevor in an overkill and likely highly hilarious way, is there anything else we can do? I know. Shauna cried out. How about humor? Suddenly she ran to a platform with a brick wall and she was dressed as a clown. So, this one time, I didn't know how to evolve a Kirlia into a Gallade. But then it dawned on me. Both of the girls stared unimpressed at her. Sheesh. Tough house. I mean, who says you can't make a Pokemon pun? Winout. Then Serena thought of something. Winout. Because I told you not to. Monique snickered while Shauna became nervous. Look, I don't think I'm being absolutely terrible here. Don't you understand good comedy? Yes, and we're shaming you for not having it. We really need to seal this up. Serena pinched her nose in frustration. 2. Yeah, I can't believe we're still. It was at this point that 3 tomatoes were thrown at the 3 girls, and they turned to see Ash has thrown them. Cut it with the jokes. I was on the verge of killing myself, and that would have healed me better. He then went back inside of the bubble to sleep. Sorry, Ash. Monique apologized. Then she got an idea. I know. How about some alternative medicine since I'm a hex maniac? The supernatural shall cure him. Will that work? I'm mostly sure. Later, as Ash woke up, he noted that he couldn't move. And not even weakly, like he couldn't move. What's happening? And why do I feel really weird and warm? He then noticed he was not in his sleeping bag. Oh, hi Ash, Monique said happily. I've just been performing some alternative medicines so that you become better. What? What did you do? Oh, I just stuck a bunch of needles into your body, about 350-ish, covered you in Darumaka droppings, placed healing crystals on your chakra points, and now I'm going to feed you an old medical soup I know. She reached for a bowl while Ash was grossed out he was covered in poop. Plopping a funnel into his mouth, she poured the soup in which he tried to gag but it went straight down his stomach. Don't worry, it's filled with ants, caterpillars and peppers. Ash could tell when he started to feel even hotter than the fever was making him. Monique, this won't help him. He heard Serena berate her friend. Now I'm going to have to wash him. Dragging the poor boy by his feet, the tomboy proceeded to throw him into the water, though he began to float down with the current. The girls were wondering what was going to happen until they paled in horror, as Ash soon floated over the edge of a nearby waterfall. Fortunately, it was only a few feet down. Although that only led to a much bigger waterfall. Screaming, Ash fell into rocks, logs, a wild man climbing the waterfall, pinball bumpers which bounded him around a bunch of times until he got a 1,000-point score, and then eventually a submarine at the bottom of the waterfall. The others peered over the edge. 3. Maybe he's okay. Shauna nervously giggled. Then the submarine exploded. Trevor came up to them, sporting a bump so big it was the same size as his hair, so it was like his hair grew twice as big, and he asked, "What did I miss?" Ash's friends afterwards were busy wrapping him up in a full body cast which Trevor was forced to carry, whom was having difficulty doing so. Why to have to carry him? Because you're the only one who actually had a good idea. Serena answered. Let's just continue on so Ash can heal next chapter. The redhead groaned as they continued on, Ash moaning from within his tomb of gauze and bandages. After Ash has recovered from both his fever and overkill amount of physical trauma of going over the waterfall and exploding yesterday, he and Greninja were doing stretches since Trevor thought that was a good idea after having made a full recovery. Ash stretched his legs while Greninja stretched her arms. Alright, let's go. Both trainer and Pokemon began to sprint through the trees, dodging and weaving around them and jumping over bushes. Must be hard to hit ya if you're going this fast, right? Exclamation mark quote. He asked his starter whom said her name in response. Only the difference between the speed of them was clear as she overtook him easily, going farther and farther and farther ahead. Aw, come on. No one likes a show off. The boy laughed as he tried to run faster to catch up, but she simply jumped into the trees and truly moved like a ninja. Okay, now you're showing off for the fun of it. He complained, but he could hearing her version of laughing. Those two are sure taking their time. Shauna yawned as she laid down on the grass. Hopefully I wasn't wrong with what I said about exercising after his recovery. Trevor gulped. Serena sighed. Training hard is fine, but I don't want him to overdo it. Oh, there they are. Monique pointed out. While Greninja came with no sign of being tired, Ash was gasping for air and collapsed upon arriving to his friends. Ash, Serena called out as she ran to him. I told you not to overdo it. Don't worry about me. I just need some water. Here you go. Monique handed him a bottle and he guzzled it down. Thanks, Monique. It was then that the sounds of nature was disturbed by the sound of an incoming helicopter, but what caught their attention was that it was heading for them. Dropping down from a line, everyone gasped as they saw the Pokemon champion Diantha Belleras landed gracefully on the ground. Squishy dug into Shauna's bag due to not knowing the prestigious woman. Long time no see, she said to the teenagers. Diantha, what are you doing here? Serena asked with an enchanted face, meeting her idol again. You know her. Monique was flabbergasted. We've met her a couple of times before. But again, why are you here, Diantha? I just heard of Olympia's prediction, so I dropped in to see all of you. Wait, you mean the crisis? Trevor remembered. Yes. I researched everything I could find and this is my result. Taking out a tablet of sorts, she presented them a picture of an island, which looked decimated. It used to be full of life and game, but this is happening all over the Kalos region, and we're not sure what's causing it, but if this is involved with Olympia's prediction, then that means Zygarde is already on the move. Zygarde. Monique gasped. Like in my ritual summon premonition. Oh, I don't believe we've met. You must be a new member of the group, yes. Monique started to tremble from being talked to by the Pokemon champion herself, and mumbled. Why yes. My name is Monique R. Rain. Diantha smiled. Nice to meet you, Monique. She offered her hand, but due to being overwhelmed by the encounter, Monique dropped down and started saying her praises. This confused her until Serena said. She's a hex maniac. She also does that occasionally with people of high position like the gym leader Valerie. I see. I'm sorry, and she said premonition. Yeah, actually when you mentioned Zygarde that's something Monique told us when she looked into the future. Shauna explained. Although she didn't retain all she saw. So that's what she means. Yes. Zygarde is the order Pokemon. When the Kalos region's ecosystem falls into disarray, it appears and reveals its secret power. So it's like a guardian of sorts. Ash summarized. So the disaster that Olympia mentioned that involved us has to do with the ecosystem. Trevor inquired. That's right. I was concerned so I came to see you. I'm wondering, has anything odd been going on with your group? Well, we have been fighting these particular individuals of an evil group that wants to take my Squishy. Shauna answered. Squishy. The champion was confused. Yeah, this is Squishy. The girl brought out the green creature which started to squirm and protest. Calm down, Squishy. It has this thing of glowing green, and forming something bigger in the shape of a dog, and causing the earth around it to explode. That's been happening. What have you been doing about it? We've been protecting Squishy from being taken away by them. They want to do something bad but I don't know what. So at least you're keeping them from attaining everything they need. Even if it isn't much, if this group is trying to disrupt the ecosystem then every interference counts. Oh, and Ash. Yes. Olympia wanted me to test your Greninja against its super form. Says it's possibly one of the best chance we have of stopping this threat. Greninja huh? Ash looked to his shiny water starter, whom nodded. He grinned. Okay. First let's battle with their regular forms first to see where they stand. Perfect. Bringing out her ace Pokemon, the champion and trainer gave themselves a fair bit of distance so that they weren't too close. Ash, you'll have the honor of the first move. Alright then. Greninja, use Dig. The ninja Pokemon borrowed underground. However, Gardevoir could sense the water starter's determination, and both she and Diantha nodded as she moved to the left, just dodging the underground attack. Incredible. Trevor gasped. Not even digging underground can hit Gardevoir. Serena was amazed by that. Water Shuriken. Forming water stars, Greninja threw them, but the Embrace Pokemon was able to flip around all of them, not getting hit once. Dig. Once more. Going below ground once more, the champion was confused. Ash, you do realize that using Dig won't work, right? But Ash only smirked. Water Shuriken. Gardevoir moved out of the way from Greninja bursting from the ground, but she did gasp when as she moved, the ninja Pokemon threw a star at her direction, just barely able to bend back enough to evade the follow-up, the water star grazing her green hair making a small section wet. Ash lost his frown. Dang, we still couldn't tag her. Now it's our turn. Shadow Ball. Forming a black orb, the psychic fairy type launched it. Dig. Greninja evaded by going underground, letting the hole explode. Destroy the field with psychic. Her eyes glowing blue, she proceeded to life huge chunks of earth out of the land in between them, and Greninja was caught up as she tried to keep a level head. She then threw all the earth away, forcing Greninja to jump away so that she wouldn't be crushed by the falling earth. Use Water Shuriken, over and over. In rapid succession, the ninja Pokemon threw stars by the sets of 5, really letting her attacks fly. However, regardless of the number of stars, Gardevoir was maintaining her advantage by almost teleporting in between attacks. Use Psychic on the Water Shuriken. With the glow of her eyes, the Embrace Pokemon caught all of the shurikens in the air, causing the shiny water starter to stop. With a flick of her wrist, she sent all of them back at Greninja, and she couldn't dodge them all, so she was blasted all the way back into a tree off the field. Greninja. Ash called out as he ran to his starter. So he's not on Diantha's level, Monique observed. And they were keeping up so well. Shauna moaned. That's because she's wanting to see his true power. Serena told them. If she wanted to, she'd have beaten him in less than 15 seconds. So Ash, would you say we've properly exercised what our Pokemon are capable of at their normal states? Diantha asked with a smile. Yeah, Ash nodded. Give us a few minutes to revive Greninja and use its Battle Bond ability to really give you want. Alright. The champion agreed. After everything was set up, it was time for round 2. This time it was Mega Gardevoir and Ash Greninja ready to battle. Here we go. This is what we're like when we become stronger and stronger. Use Water Shuriken up close. Forming 2 large 4-point stars in each hand, Greninja charged with blinding speed and even leapt over the giant hole in the ground effortlessly. Shadow Ball. Forming another black orb, Gardevoir tried to fire it, but Greninja was able to stop it before it could be fired, causing an explosion which forced the Embrace Pokemon back. Diantha was actually intimidated by the speed and power of the Battle Bond ability. While I don't think it's quite as offensively powerful as Gardevoir, that speed was just as swift as hers. If Greninja gets too many hits in, we're done for. Shadow Ball. Again. Cut it with Water Shuriken. Forming a large star on her back, she gripped a point and swiftly slashed through the incoming ball, sending the 2 halves flying erratically until they exploded. Now use Dig. Burrowing underground. Not even 2 seconds passed before Gardevoir seriously had to dodge, and even then the attacking ninja Pokemon nearly punched her head, the psychic fairy type's eyes wide with surprise. Water Shuriken. Again. Dodge it. While Gardevoir was able to dodge the water starter for a time, the shiny Pokemon was more agile as she managed to land an attack, resulting in the champion's Pokemon to cry as she flew back. The 2 are equally fast. Monique remarked with a smile. Diantha must really be feeling the pressure now. Serena laughed. Use Shadow Ball. Counter with Dark Pulse. Firing a barrage of black and purple rings, Greninja not only stopped the powerful attack, but even started to push it back before it exploded. Now use Dig. Reflect. Go. Forming a blue force field, Gardevoir was able to take reduced damage from the battle-bonded frog as she punched the Embrace Pokemon in the gut. Counter with Moonblast. Water Shuriken. Even with a stronger move aided by Stab, Greninja was able to slice through the attack, though with more difficulty, and landed a direct hit which sent the Psychic Fairy Pokemon flying as she cried in pain, crashing into the ground. Gardevoir. One more time. Jumping into the air, the ninja Pokemon threw 3 shuriken aimed right for the Embrace Pokemon. Before she could react, the combined attacks exploded with water droplets flying everywhere, forcing everyone to brace against the water and shock wave, before looking to see that when the dust settled, Gardevoir was defeated. Gardevoir. As she ran over to her Pokemon, she tried to comfort her. "I'm sorry, Gardevoir. I wasn't expecting that you'd be beaten this badly. Take a good rest." When she was returned, Diantha stared at the Pokeball containing her defeated ace until she looked to Ash being praised by his friends. "OMG. You actually beat the champion." Shauna shouted with jubilation, hopping up and down. "It may not have been a league battle, but the fact you won was amazing." Serena continued. "Just how strong is Greninja like this?" Trevor pondered with excitement. "I bet you could beat the entire tournament with Greninja alone." Monique praised. "Thanks guys, but Greninja's the one that was doing the hard work." He turned to his starter. "You did awesome out there. I'm so proud." The shiny starter nodded as she returned to normal. Ash. They all turned to Diantha. "I never would have thought that I'd be beaten by someone who hasn't even earned all their badges yet. But your Greninja is truly something remarkable." I'm left speechless. Hearing that from the champion, Ash grinned and nodded with a thumbs up. "Thanks. It's great hearing that from you." Just then Diantha's helicopter came back, and once it landed, the champion was giving her final words. "Ash, I don't know if that battle bond of your Pokémon's has anything to do with Olympia's prediction, but I have no doubt whatever good you'll use it for, victory is assured. When we meet again, maybe it'll be after you beat the Pokémon League tournament and Elite Four. I can't wait to see you there." "Awesome. I'll train hard, and we'll have a full 6-6 battle to see who truly is the victor. Until then, all the best of luck." The two shook hands before Diantha had to take off, leaving the teenagers to wave her goodbye. Shauna started to hop around again as she got giddy. "Wow. After seeing something like that, I have no doubt we can save Kalos together." Trevor nodded. "While the crisis sounds scary, we have all of our top-tier Pokemon to help us. If Ash can defeat the champion's ace, then when we work together nothing can stop us." Monique cheered. 3 cheers for us being awesome. Serena called out. All of them gave a big hurrah as they continued on their journey. Ash and company walked out of Snowbell City's Pokemon Center, which was snowing and the temperature is freezing. All of them wore snow jackets of their signature colors and winter pants along with boots. Everyone was shocked. Where did all this snow come from?" Trevor gasped. "Given the climate we've been experiencing since the beginning, we've been walking around since late summer." "I know," Serena agreed. "But it's like when the nurse said it was February because that's the only time that snow falls around here, it's like the weather finally caught up." "Oh well, at least there's snow to play in." Shauna laughed as she jumped into the snow, laughing as she made a snow angel with Squishy in her pocket. The others turned to each other, shrugged, decided to play such as making snowmen, throw snowballs at each other, and make a fort. But eventually, they made their way to the gym, right in the dead center of town. And to their surprise, the inside looked like a battle-ready ice chamber. And sitting at the end is a large man wearing a red and light blue suit and a big bushy white beard. "Welcome to my gym, ho ho ho." He laughed. "My name is Wolfric Noel. Tell me, are you my newest challengers?" "Yes please," Serena responded. "HMPH, very well. But I just have one question." Getting up and walking across the battlefield, the teenagers were stricken with awe at how large this man was. While nowhere near as tall as Lysandre, he still stood 2 meters tall, and looked like he was around 350-ish pounds, mostly in his jelly-like gut. Once he was close enough, he asked, "What badge are you seeking? This will be our 8th. Do you have any fire, fighting, rock and steel type Pokemon?" "Yes," all 3 of the gym challenging teens answered. "Well then, here you go." Wolfric rather surprisingly gave them each a badge just like that. What? Serena was confused. The man sighed and went from a jolly old man to someone whom looked depressed. Look, here's the thing. I've been at this job for over about 65 years, give or take a couple, since I was your age. At my prime, I was considered one of the most fearsome of gym leaders, fourth badge and onward. Back then, I only had to deal with a few fire types such as a Talonflame or Delphox, a couple of fighting types like Pangoro and Holicha, and rock and steel types were considered a rarity since they're typically found at beaches, caves or up in the mountains. Even when Kalos started bringing in foreign Pokemon, I was still considered a respectable gym leader. But around 25 years ago, Mega Evolutions started to become a big thing, and now I'm only a challenge below the 5th badge. Now my Pokemon are frequently burnt and smashed thanks to my challengers being too fast or sturdy along with being hard-hitting. I only ever win when the challenger doesn't have those select 4 types in their teams. Well, that sounds sad, Trevor commented with furrowed eyes. Indeed. There's a saying about ice types. Ice is both extremely hard and terribly fragile at the same time. Depending on what Pokemon you choose and what moves they use, I could be your most challenging opponent yet, or I could be a total pushover. And let's just say that about a third of the time, I'm a complete pushover. Well, it couldn't be that bad. Monique tried to lighten the topic, but he dryly chuckled. Yeah, try saying that after being beaten by a challenger with 5 badges and Charizard Y alone at one time that beat my entire 8th level team. Even Viola beats me handily with only her 7th level team. Ooh, that's bad. Ash cringed. Yes, so I've declared from that day on, I won't fight a challenger with the forbidden types, because victory is assured for them. Well, sorry I guess. Serena pocketed her badge. I hope you do well then. A smile and a happy glint returned to his eye. Thank you, children. Go, and have yourselves a good night. After they left, the teens talked amongst themselves about what just happened. Well, that's sort of anticlimactic for the final badge, Serena said while shaking her head. But if what he says is true, then it would have been anticlimactic anyway, because any one of us would have beaten him in minutes while maybe losing one Pokemon. Trevor reasoned. Ice has its merits, but it pretty is weak by itself. Like Bug around the first few levels. Remember when Serena battled Viola? Yeah, I was able to beat a mostly evolved Bug team with just a Fennekin and Ember. And one died without me doing anything. The tomboy sighed, her breath visible in the cold air. Maybe it was better he just handed the badge to us. So that he wouldn't waste our times. Well, how about we look around then? Shauna suggested. That way we can at least have some fun in this city. Sure. Let's split and meet again at the Pokemon Center. Ash said. Everyone agreed and went their separate ways. What should I get Ash? Serena thought to herself. Now that they're just about to apply for the Pokemon League, she wanted to give her boyfriend a gift. Something he'd really love forever, which eliminated food. She acknowledged that despite being his girlfriend, she hasn't been very romantic lately. She chalked that up to being a tomboy and not like the typical goo-goo-eyed girl one would expect. And the last time they did something special together with just the 4 of themselves was going to that restaurant and exploiting it to get rich. To her though, the lunch was the special part since she was eating a high-quality lunch with him. Anyway, back to the matter of hand, she had to find the perfect gift. She couldn't mess this up. Wonder if I should get Monique something as well. Let her know we appreciate her company. As for Shauna, she managed to get a gift for all her friends. And something good for Ash. Ah, he'll love this. The girl sighed, and proceeded to walk to the Pokemon Center. As she was going to the building, she noticed a mysterious light enchanting down an alleyway. Going down it, she noticed Monique on her knees doing some sort of ritual while saying foreign words, and light was glowing from the runes she made in the snow. Best not to interrupt her, Shauna thought as she exited the alleyway. Back in the Pokemon Center, all 5 of them came back to share what they did. So, I managed to catch an Amoonguss, a Noctowl, a Sudowoodo, a Ditto and a Zoroark. Trevor told everyone. Oh, those Zoroark are cool. Serena nodded. With their appearance and illusion abilities. Oh, that reminds me, I made you all some special artistic ice. Monique brought up as she grabbed some what looked like discs of ice which contained portraits of her friends. I used one of my hexes so that they would never melt. They'll still break if enough pressure is put on them, but never melt. Ah, thanks Monique. Shauna hugged the hex maniac, whom nervously giggled and returned the hug. I was wondering what you were doing in that alley. I decided to let you be. Monique gasped. You saw me. Good thing you didn't. If I became distracted, I could have become a living ice sculpture. Except, well, dead.
Oh. Shauna, along with the rest, were a little unnerved by that. Anyway, here's what I got you. Monique again gasped, but this time out of joy as she was presented with a Ouija board. Oh my gosh. Now I can commune with spirits and have you guys witness it. Oh, thank you. What a coincidence. Serena giggled. Seems like we all got you something similar. Wondering what she meant, the hex maniac was thrilled to see that she got a crystal ball from Serena, tarot cards from Ash, and a figure 8 ball from Trevor. It was so much she even began to cry. Thank you all so much. She went to get some tissues.
My turn. Shauna cheered. Here's some plushies for all of you. The brunette gave her friends a plush of their first Pokemon. Ash a Froakie, Serena a Fennekin, herself a Chespin, Trevor a Pikachu, and Monique a Ghastly when she comes back.
Ah, so cute. Thanks Shauna. The tomboy giggled. So soft and neat. Thanks Shauna. Trevor expressed with a smile. Yeah, thanks. Ash laughed. I've actually gotten you guys some stuff too. It's not much and I had no idea what to get, but I eventually got these. Conveniently Monique came back, and loved her plushie once Shauna gave it to her. Ash gave each of his friends friendship bracelets of those white cubes with black letters on each of them. They all said, "Together forever." This signifies that no matter what happens, we will help each other through anything. Like the power of friendship, Shauna pointed out. Yes, exactly. Wow, this is great. Serena sighed. I also got you two something as well. Handing them 2 small boxes, Ash and Shauna were shocked to find metal chain bracelets with 3 hearts, each having a letter or 2. Essay. Shish. Wow, I would never have guessed you'd get us one of these, Shauna marveled. These must have cost a lot. Well, they're cheap metal, but the symbolism is what counts. Serena held up a bracelet of her own. The 3 of them hugged together. Trevor didn't mind, though Monique felt conflicted. Initially she wanted to be his girlfriend when they first met, but after getting to hang out with him and trying to take things slowly, that initial longing of being in their open relationship seems to have greatly diminished, if outright gone. She felt completely satisfied with where she was right now. Perhaps it was just her hunger for companionship blinding her, making her think she wanted love. With a small smile, Monique internally accepted that even if she isn't in the relationship, being in this circle of friends was enough. Anyway, let's get a good night's sleep. The blonde tomboy yawned, and everyone agreed as they went to the beds of the Pokemon Center. Aha! There it is. Ash cheered as he and his friends found the Lumiose conference, having gone around a loop of the upper region going from Sillage City all the way round to Snowbell City and finally returning to Lumiose City. Well, they actually had to wait until August 1st since the league was more than half a year away when they reached Snowbell City, but instead of what I did in Ash Platinum, which was putting in fluffy filler as a break, we're skipping straight to the action. Kalos League, here we come. They even changed clothes on this day to celebrate the occasion. Ash was wearing a black fedora along with a black leather jacket over a white t-shirt, black and white sneakers and black pants with white side stripes. Serena contrasted him by wearing a white felt hat, a white pleated skirt, black Mary Jane shoes, black stockings, the newest tie-neck blouse now in a white outer shirt and a black blouse decorated in 4 red buttons. Shauna wore a red and white stripped pleated skirt and a pink and white horizontally stripped t-shirt. She wore red Mary Jane shoes and a cute red hat. Trevor was wearing his old clothes when he first started out in Beneval Town due to feeling more comfortable like that, and Monique, just for this occasion, was wearing Serena's original clothing so that her gothic-style clothes didn't stand out. So many people. Monique commented, having never been around so many individuals at once. She looked and felt nervous. And the Colosseum is huge, Shauna shouted. Trevor nodded. To think we're finally here. The battles to end all battles. Serena breathed the air in deeply with a smile. Excuse me, are you competing in the Kalos League? They noticed a woman with pink hair, a black tank top and red pants run towards them. Following her were camera people. Yeah? Ash replied. Would you mind if I interviewed you? Oh, we'd love to, Shauna answered as she inadvertently shoved Ash out of the way in her excitement. Your name please? Shauna Bonnet. She then went and slung her arms around Serena and Ash's shoulders and dragged them into the view of the camera. She then spoke very fast. And the two I'm going to be battling alongside with is Serena Burton and Ash Ketchum. They're like my BBFFs. And these two are Trevor Crouch and Monique Rain. Respectively, Serena and I are from Beneviltown. Trevor's from right here in Lumios. Monique is from Laver City. And Ash is from the Kanto region. Serena, too much information. The blonde tomboy grunted as she tried to break free, but Shauna's grip around her was too tight. Interesting. And what is your goal of becoming champion? Just because. We were originally fooling the former professor with his quest of finding out about mega evolution, but you already know how that turned out. Shauna, please. Trevor groaned as she was milking this of its worth way too much. And there you have it, folks. Bold and interesting words from a colorful amount of people. Good luck to you three. Thanks, come on. Before registration end, however, they were stopped by a punk-looking teen boy. Hey Shauna. Seemed like you believe that you're going to be the winner already. Why don't you show me how strong you are? He held up a Pokeball. Why don't we have a battle? He then summoned a stylized Furfrou. Okay. But real quick, okay. We've got to register. Gardevoir, style time. Summoning her Embrace Pokemon, the opposing team went first. That's what I want to hear from a trainer with 8 badges. What do badges matter anyway? I'll beat you and prove I'm strong enough even without them? Giga Impact? Moonblast. As the Poodle Pokemon began to charge, the Psychic, Fairy type formed a ball of pink energy and launched it at the incoming Pokemon, stopping it dead in its tracks and causing an explosion. No. The trainer yelled as his Pokemon couldn't move after using Giga Impact. Moonblast, again. And with that follow-up attack, the trainer's Furfrou was beaten down already in 2 moves, leaving it really scuffed up from the explosions. My win. Now let's go already. Dang it. The boy screamed in frustration, stopping the group as he dropped to his knees, tears dripping down his face. I couldn't get them all in time. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of trainers like me that want to compete too, you know. All of them, with their dreams and hopes, dashed because they weren't strong enough. It's not fair. Why do we have to be brushed to the side while those more skilled and powerful group together and compete? The boy kept angrily crying until Shauna stooped down to his eye level, getting his gaze. I'm sorry that you couldn't get them all in time, but just because that you can't compete in the league doesn't mean that your goals and dreams are out of reach. I mean, your Furfrou was able to withstand 2 attacks from my Gardevoir, so it must be decently tough. I bet next year, you'll be able to compete for sure. It's just a matter of never giving up. You get what I'm saying? Sniffling and wiping the tears away from his eyes, the trainer grinned with strain in his muscles and looked more determined. Thanks. I guess I needed that. You and your friends better win this. Shauna smiled. One of us will anyway. All her friends and Gardevoir smiled as she stood up and went to registration. After that, as they ate dinner at sunset, they got to meet some familiar faces. Ash spotted Sawyer at a nearby table, but before he could say anything, a familiar voice spoke to the group while Trevor got patted on the back. Hey, good to see you guys. Tierno, good to see you too. Trevor greeted back with a smile, along with everyone else except Monique, whom didn't recognize him. Who's he? Oh, let me introduce myself. My name's Tierno, and I used to be part of this group before I went on to be a famous star in the dancing industry with my Pokemon. Oh, that's cool. The Hex Maniac replied with a small grin. As the old group talked about old times, Ash noticed Alon was in the group as well, whom spotted him. He glared menacingly before walking off. Ladies and gentlemen, an announcer at a podium spoke to the trainers with a microphone. We will now announce the matchups for the first round. Up on the monitor, there you have them. A screen that was on the left side of the place, showing 64 trainers with their portraits. They were flipped to show backs like cards and were randomly shuffled, and upon the random placements, the faces were revealed on who'd face whom. What? I'm first up against Alon. Shauna exclaimed with shock. She didn't think she'd face him so soon. Don't worry. I'm sure things will be fine, Serena assured her friend. Yeah, we'll be cheering you all the way. Trevor supported her. You can do this. Ash gave a thumbs up. I believe in you. Monique expressed with a bow of her head, Shauna's eyes began to tear up before she wiped them away and smiled. I love you guys. It was tomorrow in the morning at 8 a.m., and the announcer was saying the typical stuff. A beautiful clear blue sky marks the beginning of this much-anticipated event. The Kalos League is on. First up, our opening ceremony. Our Pokemon champion, Diantha Bellaris, will deliver the speech. The champion herself got up and walked to the edge of what appeared to be a giant hole in the ground. 2 walkways suspended in midair, though not without support. To all our trainers, your efforts and experiences are treasures that will always be with you, and now the time has come to put all of that to the test. The Kalos League demands that you give it everything you've got. It is my honor to declare the 148th Annual Kalos League open. Everyone cheered as confetti shot into the air. Our 2 first matchups is Shauna Bonnet and Alon Silver. The 2 trainers walked to the ends of the walkways. The battle format will be 3-on-3 until the semifinals. In addition, a battlefield will be randomly selected, and so the field of our opening battle is a water and rock field. And indeed, the field that rose to be in between them, which was rocky, had a small hill to the right from Shauna's perspective, and there was a stream in the middle. A referee in a nice suit came out with his hand up. Trainers, please bring out your Pokemon. Charizard, come out. Alon sent out one of his aces. Lapras. Style time. The water ice type was brought out into the stream. A mega stone was around the lower part of her neck in a metal necklace. This will be a match to remember. Let the battle begin. Charizard, Beyond Evolution. Mega Evolve. Lapras, Surpass Evolution. Mega Evolve. Lapras began to change, and it was that the horns on her head began to grow longer, her tail became something akin to a mermaid tail, and the shell on her back became more spikier and jagged while ice sprouted from where the bumps originally were. Lapras sang a powerful note when her transformation was complete. Lapras, Ice Beam. The transport Pokemon opened her mouth to begin generating icy energy. Dodge it, Alon commanded, and so the flame Pokemon took to the sky, evading the zigzagging offense against him. Now use Dragon Claw. Coming in close and fast, Lapras cried in pain when she was slashed by the claws made of green aura from the fire, dragon type. Come on Lapras. Counter with Waterfall. Recovering, Lapras used the water around her to shoot forth like a geyser. Again. Keeping his dragon claws, Charizard slashed at incoming water, ice type. It appeared he was more powerful, because he was able to power through the waterfall, and pushed the transport Pokemon with enough force to send her flying into the rocky mountain on the side, crying in agony before falling to the ground, defeated. Lapras is unable to battle. The winner is Charizard. He's strong all right. Ash nodded. I wouldn't have expected that her Lapras would go down so easily. Trevor noted. His Charizard must be the cut above the rest. Well, he ain't beating mine. Speaking of, why don't you get ready for your battle, Ash, since you're next? All right then. See you later. He and Serena kissed before Ash left the group. Lapras, return. Thanks girl. Looks like we can't hold back. Gudra, style time. Once her pseudo-legendary came out, she yelled, Surpass Evolution. Mega Evolve. As Gudra glowed, she became taller as her lower body expanded, her tail extending while a veil-like fin sprouted along her back, along with flippers on her arms, and the horns on the back of her head curled more outward. When the glowing ended with the DNA strand above her, she went from mostly purple to being dark blue and beige on her underside. Gudra's now a dragon, water type. Now, use Dragon Pulse. Opening her mouth, she fired a dragon-shaped multicolored beam at Charizard. Counter with Flamethrower. With faster speed, he was able to breath a blue stream of fire which met the attack in a stalemate, creating a huge explosion. Now use Dragon Claw. Flying through the smoke, Gudra didn't have time to defend herself or dodge and thus was struck with a mighty slash by the flame Pokemon, screaming as she crashed to the ground, down already as she returned to normal. Gudra is unable to battle. The winner is Charizard. Already. Shauna gasped. Gudra. Return. You did your best. Thank you. Venusaur. Style time. Sending out her own shiny Kanto starter, the others wondered why she did this. But Venusaur is a grass type. How is she going to survive an onslaught from Mega Charizard? But Trevor grinned. I remember. Beyond Evolution. Mega Evolve. As Shauna proceeded to Mega Evolve her Pokemon, She then ordered, Sludge Bomb. Counter with Flamethrower. Both Pokémon spewed out attacks from their mouth, and the clash in the middle created another explosion. Now use Blast Burn. Flying up high only to turn downward, Charizard punched the ground right in front of the seed Pokémon, the ground starting to rupture and heat up until a fiery explosion overtook them both. And that's my win. Not quite, pretty boy. Shauna yelled with a smile. Sleep powder. From the smoke, green dust came out, and a heavy crash could be heard as the smoke cleared to show that Charizard fell asleep thanks to Venusaur's move. What? That's Venusaur's thick fat for you. Trevor grinned. It cuts the damage from fire and ice-type attacks by half. Smart girl. Serena complimented her friend. Charizard, wake up. Alon shouted in concern. Use Giga Drain. From the plant on his back, Venusaur wrapped the fire type in vines which glowed bright green, and started to sap the strength away from the flame Pokémon. Come on, you've got to wake up. Nah, we're not done recovering yet. Shauna then gave him a raspberry while pulling an eyelid down. Charizard, please. Alon screamed, which was enough to wake Charizard up, and he growled upon finding himself wrapped up. Yes, now use Flamethrower. Sludge Bomb. But before Venusaur could do his thing, the fire dragon type exhaled blue fire into the grass, poison type's face, forcing him to back up and retract his vines. Blast Burn. Like before, the flame Pokémon punched the ground again, which resulted in another explosion from the ground. When the smoke cleared, Venusaur was knocked out, and back to his regular form. Venusaur is unable to battle. The winner is Charizard, which means the victor is Alon. Shauna dropped down to her knees, returning her Kanto starter. I couldn't do it. I wasn't strong enough. Getting up, she ran away crying, leaving Alon to close his eyes as he returned his ace and walked off. Poor Shauna. Serena was worried for her friend. Let's go find her. Trevor suggested. Everyone sat up to go and comfort Shauna. And now the last match before the semifinals, we have Serena Burden versus Sawyer Pascal Sharp. The two trainers walked to the end of the walkways while the field came up, looking like a wasteland. A referee in a nice suit came out with his hands up. Trainers, please bring out your Pokémon. Agilash, let's go. Sawyer brought out floating Pokémon that looked like a sword with an eye near the hilt. Its blade body was sheathed into a slot in its sword and two black and purple tassel-like arms crossed behind the shield. When it spoke its name, it sounded very deep and gravelly. Foxy. I choose you. Serena's shiny fox Pokémon came out, waving her stick around with a smile. Battle begin. Agilash, use Swords Dance. Sawyer went first. The Royal Sword Pokémon formed many blue swords of energy around itself, before glowing red with power. Again. Stop it with Flamethrower. Realizing what his strategy was, Serena had her starter fire a stream of flame at the steel, ghost type, dealing big damage even in its shield form. Use Sacred Sword. Flamethrower. Once more. The blonde tomboy ordered. Creating another fire plume. The offense proved to be useful because even though it was slashed apart by Agilash, the super effective attack still did enough damage where the steel, ghost type was blown back, clanging onto the ground in defeat and a groan. Agilash. Sawyer called out in shock. And Agilash is unable to battle. The winner is Foxy. It was then that Foxy began to go through her battle bond transformation. Now appearing more sage-like, the people went wild to see it again. Alright Foxy, let's show everyone what you've got. The Pokémon nodded to her master's words. Agilash, return. Thank you. We may not have done much, but now I know what to do. Swapping Pokeballs, he then shouted. Salamence, let's go. Serena was shocked to see that he had quite the interesting pseudo-legendary Pokémon. A large teal-colored dragon with red wings and a gray underbelly. Salamence. Mega Evolve. As the dragon glowed, its wings grew much larger and sharper looking, resembling a crescent moon while its front legs were covered by extensions of its underbelly. Double Edge. With surprising speed, the dragon Pokémon flew with such speed with a glowing white trail that neither Serena nor Foxy could react in time before the fox Pokémon was slammed into, screaming as she was slammed into the back wall behind the flabbergasted tomboy. Foxy fell to the ground, reverting back to normal as she fell to the ground. Foxy is unable to battle. The winner is Salamence. the announcer declared. The dragon, flying type, suffered some recoil and groaned. Serena ran to her starter Pokemon. Foxy. Are you okay? She asked her starter. Foxy opened her eyes with effort and nodded with a strained smile, getting one back from her master. You did well for the first round. Return. Once her starter was withdrawn, she went back to her walkway position and held up an Ultra Ball. Gonna need to get serious here. Aggron, I choose you. Sending out her Iron Armor Pokemon, she touched a key stone on her wrist. Surpass Evolution. Mega Evolve. As Aggron glowed, the outer armor around his head and arms spiked out to be especially sharp, along with his body becoming much bulkier and heavier looking. Once the transformation was finished with a rainbow DNA strand, Sawyer frowned upon seeing such a Pokemon. So now it's a battle of offense and defense. Ash grinned from the idea he was going to see. Trevor nodded in agreement. An unstoppable force against an immovable object. Use Brick Break. Counter with Iron Head. Salamence's wings glowed white as it flew towards Aggron, whom was in the middle of his charge with his head glowing white. The two clashed with enough force to result in a shockwave, and even had the 870 pounds. Steel-type Pokemon pushed back by a serious amount, but Aggron was able to withstand the blow while Salamence flew up and away. Stone Edge. Protect. As the Steel-type Pokemon formed rocks around himself and fired a barrage of them, the Dragon, flying type, formed a green force field which prevented any of the stones from reaching it. Double Edge. Dragon Claw. Aggron's arms glowed with green aura while Salamence zoomed straight towards him with a glowing white trail, and the two collided, which resulted in an explosion from the powerful clash of energies. Everyone had to wait a few seconds to see who just won. With the smoke, a glow was seen, and eventually they saw Salamence had fainted. No, Salamence is unable to battle. The winner is Aggron. Return Salamence. Thanks, you deserve a good rest. Well, looks like I can't delay it any longer. Sceptile, let's go. The Hoenn region grass starter soon appeared, and Sawyer touched a key stone attacked to the bookmark of his notebook. Sceptile, Mega Evolve. Once that was finished, Serena wondered how this would turn out. Sceptile, use Focus Blast. Her eyes opening wide, she ordered. Tackle him with Iron Head. While his charging speed was slow, the Iron Armor Pokemon nonetheless made his move when Sceptile launched a blue ball of fighting energy, and it exploded against Aggron. However, the pure Steel type charged through the smoke and rammed into the unsuspecting Pokemon, sending it skidding back on his feet and one of its hands to slow the push back. That was pretty good, Serena, but your Aggron is beat. Use Leaf Blade. Running at a faster pace, Sceptile effortlessly slashed across Aggron's iron-hard body with the leaves on its wrists glowing neon green. It groaned as the Mega Evolution wore off and Aggron fell to the ground with a loud thud, cracking the ground below it. And Aggron is unable to battle. The winner is Sceptile. Aggron, return. You did great hanging in there. Rest easy now. Okay, Weavile, I choose you. Surpass Evolution. Mega Evolve. With her feather growing bigger and gaining 3 bigger claws covered in ice on its hands and extended tail, the Sharp Claw Pokemon was ready to finish the whole thing. Sawyer was now fearful. Quick, Sceptile, use Focus Blast. Forming another ball of fighting energy, it fired, but Serena was ready. Dodge it. With speed about as equal as Sceptile, she jumped over the Focus Blast, letting it explode against the ground. Frenzy Plant. Thrusting its arms into the ground, 5 large roots with small thorns burst from the ground aimed right at her. Use them to get close and use Ice Punch. Nodding, Weavile used the roots as either platforms or bars to jump and swing from. Then her claws glowed neon blue. Leaf Blade. The leaves on its wrists glowing and then leaping, the two Pokemon raced towards each other before both slashed each other at the same time. They landed on the ground, waiting to see who would fall first. Weavile clutched her right arm while Sceptile collapsed, turning back to normal. Hoo-hoo! Way to go, Serena! Shauna cheered. You did amazing! Ash shouted to her, though it was drowned out by everyone else. Trevor and Monique didn't say anything, but their approval was clearly seen. Serena waved towards them with a huge grin. Weavile came up to her and laughed as she hugged her. Way to go, Weavile! You were so fast and cool there. Sceptile is unable to battle. The winner is Weavile, and thus the victor is Serena Burden. All of the semifinal slots have been filled. Starting with the semifinals, we'll be seeing full 6-on-6 battles. And here's what the matchups look like. It's Alon versus Remo and Ash versus Serena. Tomorrow shows big promise as the battles will get heated up. At sunset, Serena was think about tomorrow's matchup, trying to think about battle strategies while also thinking about the time they comforted Shauna. The poor girl cried so hard, believing that she failed that trainer due to failing just after saying that hopeful stuff. But she was eventually able to calm down with the help of her friends, Pokemon, and a good pep talk that got her out of that funk. It ended with a group hug and a kiss from Ash that she particularly loved. "What are you thinking about?" She saw that Ash had come in, some traces of lipstick on his face which made her laugh.
Me. What happened to you? Did a swarm of fans get you?
Nah, it was just Shauna being very affectionate. Ash chuckled as he tried to wipe some of it away but just made it worse, making her laugh harder. "I can definitely believe that," she said with a smile as she gazed in the sun's direction. Not at the sun cause then her eyes would hurt. The semifinals, huh? Yeah, who thought we'd make it so far? Ash pondered. I think everyone friendly we met did. There aren't a whole lot of people who say that our dream would be stupid and not worth pursuing, considering it's one of the most common goals in the world. Right, right. He nodded in agreement. Serena? Yeah? May the best one win. He then kissed his girlfriend on the lips, making her blush and then smile bigger. May the best one win. She kissed him back. So, Serena is battling Ash. Shauna commented, she and her friends sitting in the stands with food. I'm feeling pretty nervous about this. So, who do you think is the winner is going to be? Tierno asked Trevor. Well, Ash has the better team. Greninja, Charizard, Lucario and Garchomp? Those are top-tier Pokemon. But Serena has a fairly decent counter team while still being well-rounded for anybody else. It could go either way. I pray that the spirits of the champions will help them to give their absolute best. Monique nodded while clasping her hands together. I wonder how Ash will do against his companion that he's been traveling with this entire journey. Diantha thought to herself. They should likely know every strategy they can employ. And when is Olympia's prediction going to happen? And now the second battle of the semifinal round and our trainers are making their entrances. Serena Burden and Ash Ketchum. Everyone went into a cheer. 2 trainers from Veneval Town and one that just moved from Kanto. Talk about skill for Ash to be here his first time having only moved less than a year ago. I wonder what his mother is thinking, as the announcer has said that, we cut to Delia in her home, everything covered in 9 to 10 months worth of dust as she stood around doing nothing because that's what the game programmed her to do if nothing interacted with her. The dust-covered woman was frozen in place. The only thing happening was tears strolling down her perpetually smiling, immortalized cheeks, indicating she's aware but can't do anything about it. Anyway, onto the battle. The 2 trainers were walking to their positions while their friends cheered them on. Come on Serena, win this, Monique shouted. Yeah Serena, win it for the girls, Shauna cheered. Great, will it sound sexist if I rooted for Ash instead of Serena, my own tormentor? Trevor mumbled to himself before realizing something. Then again, she hasn't really insulted me or gave me a rough time in a long while. Maybe this journey showed her how to actually treat me well. As he pondered on this, Alon stood by the sidelines high above, acting all aloof and edgy as he watched like a high school bad boy cliché. I wonder if he had a red streak in his hair he'd be a human Shadow the Hedgehog? It's time. Serena said to herself quietly. He may be my childhood friend and lover, but I've got to beat him. To show that I can be the best. To think that I'd face against Serena. Ash chucked. I think this is our first serious battle. It's strange, yet very exciting. This will be very interesting. And now for the battlefield. It's a forest. The battlefield around them did look like a forest, heavily populated with trees and bushes, only allowing a straight path between the 2 trainers to not be obstructed in any way. Ash versus Serena, competing head-to-head in our next semifinal battle. The referee declared, each trainer will have the use of 6 Pokemon, and substitutions are allowed. When all 6 of either trainer's Pokemon are unable to continue, the battle will be over. When 3 Pokemon on one side are unable to continue, the battlefield will change. Trainers, begin. Talonflame, I choose you. Ash sent out his scorching Pokemon first. Espeon, I choose you. Her Psychic Sun Pokemon was summoned first. Battle begin. Espeon, surpass evolution. Mega Evolve. Serena touched the keystone on her wrist in the fully equipped bracelet, which allowed her Pokemon to transform. Talonflame, use Brave Bird. Enveloping himself in blue fire, the flying type flew with impressive speed, rammed into the psychic type, which caused her to cry out in agony, and tumble onto her side, but was still able to stand up with some effort. Are you doing okay, Espeon? Once the sun Pokemon nodded, Serena did too. Okay then, use Light Screen. Espeon proceeded to cover her side of the field with a yellow force field. Don't let up. Brave Bird again. Counter with Shadow Ball. As the scorching Pokemon made his dive bomb again, Espeon created a black orb which Talonflame smashed into, which created a powerful explosion. When it cleared, the two were out cold. Both Pokemon are unable to battle. It's a draw. Neither of the trainers lost their smiles to this, as they were having too much fun. Returning their Pokemon and thanking them, they sent out their next choices. Charizard, Blastoise, I choose you. To their friends' surprise, the two sent out their respective shiny Kanto starters. Surpass evolution. Mega Evolve. While Serena's Blastoise had the cannons on his body morph around so that they were on his now shell-covered arms and a giant tank-like cannon on his back, while Charizard's wings grew longer, grew wings on his arms and became somewhat spikier. Due to his ability, the fire type allowed the sun to shine especially bright. Alright Charizard, use Air Slash. Counter with Skull Bash. While the flame Pokemon flapped his wings to unleash a barrage of energy blades, the water starter leapt with surprising reach, and managed to smash into the flying fire type, as he growled in pain as he was pushed back above the trees. Blastoise crashed into the ground with enough force to crack the forest floor. Charizard, use Fire Blast. Counter with Water Pulse. Firing up a Huo-shaped kanji, Blastoise created an especially large orb of water which was launched at a powerful speed, which the flame Pokemon was unable to fire in time, and the two attacks met in the middle, both exploding, which created a lot of steam. Come on, do your best. Monique encouraged them. Yeah, you have to keep going. Win, Shauna screamed. We believe in you, Trevor added. Solar Beam. Aura Sphere. The shellfish Pokemon created another blue orb, this time made of fighting energy, and fired it at the same time as Charizard. However, unlike the last time, the constant stream of green nature-filled energy stream was pushing back harder than the Aura Sphere, pushing it back until it exploded in the water starter's face, not having the dexterity to dodge. Ash smiled until he heard her say, Water Pulse again. Shooting from the smoke, Charizard was too shocked to think of evading, and was hit by the Mega Launcher enhanced attack, and roared as he fell to the ground, reverting back to normal. Charizard, no, Ash cried out. Charizard is unable to battle. The winner is Blastoise. Thanks Charizard, return. See, I told you I was making a team tailored to counter yours. Serena boasted with a triumphant grin. Even back when we first got Charmander and Squirtle, I knew I had to make my Blastoise specially defensive if he was going to survive your Y-Mega form. So her plans against Ash are going good so far. Trevor nodded. While his Talonflame was just to test the waters, she managed to counter one of his stronger Pokemon perfectly, despite having a weather advantage and Solar Beam. I wonder how much they can plan ahead of each other, like a game of chess, Shauna pondered. No matter who wins though, I'm going to cheer and be there for both of them, Monique proclaimed. They're both equally excellent to me. Lucario, I choose you. Sending out his Aura Pokemon out next, Ash took the first move, Close Combat. Iron Defense. Serena's Blastoise withdrew his cannons and gained a metallic shine, raising his defense. However, as soon as the Mega-Evolved Jackal started pummeling into the Kanto water starter, the damage was starting to become too much, and with a palm forced into its armored gut, the shellfish Pokemon could withstand no more as he transformed back to normal and fell to the ground with a groan. Blastoise is unable to battle. The winner is Lucario. Blastoise, return. You did great hanging in there. That light screen really helped. Now it's time to go on the defensive. Aggron, I choose you. Sending out her Iron Armor Pokemon, she touched another keystone. Surpass evolution. Mega Evolve. Once that was done, Ash took the first move. Close Combat. Counter with Stone Edge. while Agron formed white orbs that turned into rocks, and fired them. Lucario took to the trees to dodge them, leaping from branch to branch faster than the stones can reach him. Eventually, he leapt straight towards the bulky steel type and landed the first blow against the side of its head. Proceeding with further punches and kicks, it was unsure how Agron was reacting given its face remained mostly stoic. By the time he finished his assault, Lucario leapt back, and saw the only thing he did was leave dents in the thick armor-like underside of the iron armor Pokémon. Just then the light screen wore off. Great. Lucario, use Aura Sphere. Charge with Iron Head and use your tail for Brick Break. While he was slow, Agron was building up momentum while both his head and tail glowed. Lucario meanwhile was charging up an orb of fighting energy, and shot it out with such speed and force it exploded against the steel type's head. However, the Pokémon charged through the smoke, and whipped around faster than Ash could tell it to dodge, and was smacked hard in the chest. He howled as he smashed into a tree, and transformed back as he slumped down. Lucario is unable to battle. The winner is Agron. Wow, they're both doing equally well, Shauna cheered. Serena's maintaining a good lead, Monique remarked. This battle certainly is intriguing. Trevor noted. That's 2 Pokémon she beat him with that should have had a disadvantage. Come on guys. Keep up the powerful energy, the dark-toned girl shouted at her friends with excitement. Lucario, return. Once he was, Ash said, you did great. Thanks for all the help. Serena, you keep surprising me. Your bulky Pokémon are certainly holding out against my stronger Pokémon. Thanks to my tactics. Strong as you are, I'm just as determined and resilient. The blonde tomboy laughed. She then returned her Pokémon for the field change. Now that Serena has won 3 rounds, it's time to change the field. The forest lowered into the ground, and were replaced by Badlands. Once Serena sent Mega Agron out again, Ash yelled. Garchomp, I choose you. Serena smirked, having predicted that. Surpass evolution. Mega Evolve. As Garchomp glowed brightly, his arms started to melt into sides, and his chest broadened out, along with gaining more spikes. Agron, use Dragon Claw. As Agron charged with green aura covering his arms shaped into claws, Ash countered. Charge ahead and use Dig. With supreme speed, the mock Pokémon zoomed across the Badlands and jumped, momentarily resembling like a jet of death before slashing into the ground just as Agron was going to run across it, resulting in the 800+ lbs. Pokémon to partially fall into it was a surprised roar. While Serena isn't expecting her current Pokémon to win, her eyes widening did she wasn't expecting that. Soon, the helpless steel type was rammed into from the same hole, sending the iron armor Pokémon flying while yelling as he transformed back to normal, and crashed into one of the rocks, knocked out. Agron is unable to battle. The winner is Garchomp. Agron, return. You did truly well. Thank you. Alright Ash, here's my next counter. Weavile, I choose you. What happened next was probably the quickest draw anyone has ever seen. When Weavile Mega evolved, the Ice, Dark type used Ice Punch, the Dragon, Ground type used Brick Break, and both struck at the same time. With both having a 4x weakness exploited, they were both down for the count. Which led to this. Altaria, I choose you. Florges, I choose you. Surpass evolution. Mega Evolve. As Altaria became fluffier, the garden Pokémon's white flowers around her head grew to be of greater volume, and the tails at the end of her body split to 4. So what are you going to do now, huh? Ash goaded. While Mega Altaria may be part fairy, its dragon type is still predominant, meaning Moonblast will still hit it. Not if you can't hit us very well, Altaria, fly up and use Hyper Beam. Ash gasped as the humming Pokémon flapped up high and prepared a pink-colored attack. Dodge it. Moving swiftly, Florges was able to get out of the way before the place she stood exploded powerfully. Ash saw that Altaria was hovering high above the air. Use Moonblast. Charging up her attack, she launched it high into the air, but Altaria was easily able to dodge. Now see. At this distance, even if Florges' Moonblast can travel farther than Altaria can move, there's enough distance for her to react. Ash frowned in thought. She even had a plan against Florges with Altaria. She really thought of everything, has she? Now dive in and use Toxic. Realizing what she was going for, the male trainer pleaded. Use Moonblast. Firing another ball, the dragon, fairy type swerved around the ball and spewed purple liquid all over the garden Pokemon, whom was quivering from the poisonous effects. No, Ash knew the effects of toxic. Even with wish and calm mind, he knew his partner wouldn't be able to handle both Altaria and the maximum effects of toxic if allowed to reach that point. He'd have to utilize his defensive Pokemon more offensively than normal. Altaria, use Hyper Beam again, as the humming Pokemon swooped so that it could attack the pure fairy type without missing. Jump, then use Energy Ball to get higher. As soon as Altaria fired her attack, Florges jumped as high as she could while forming an attack, firing it down at the ground so that the force would push her forward right at the shocked dragon, fairy type, and thus had got tackled and grappled, unwillingly giving the garden Pokemon a ride. Try to shake her off, Serena pleaded. While the flying Pokemon tried to get rid of her passenger, Ash commanded. Moonblast. Creating a pink orb, she slammed it into the back of the dragon, fairy type, creating an explosion that forced the garden Pokemon to fall off and crash into the ground, groaning from both the impact and poison. Quick, use Hyper Beam. Seemingly for revenge, the humming Pokemon fired the pink blast so that it exploded against Florges, resulting a scream from the explosion. In 2 moves in which Florges was too injured to defend herself, and was consequently defeated. Florges is unable to battle. The winner is Altaria. Now for his ace Pokemon, and this will be the hardest, Serena whispered to herself. Greninja, I choose you. Once the shiny water type appeared, the blonde tomboy realized that she ran out of contingencies. The closest she had was Aggron and Weavile to both tank and then try to rival her speed. Closing her eyes, she let the very likely outcome of her defeat seep in, and took a deep breath to try and accept it. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw her Altaria already down, frozen by Ice Beam while the ninja Pokemon transform into her Ash Greninja form. Altaria is unable to battle. The winner is Greninja. Altaria, return. Thank you. You did so good. Taking another breath, the tomboy was resolved that if she was going to lose, might as well make it look good. Foxy. I choose you. Serena's eyes connected with her boyfriend's, and seeming to have understood her, he nodded to make this a spectacle for everyone. Water Shuriken. Forming and throwing 3 stars made of compressed water, to which Serena countered. Return them with Psychic. Waving her wand-like stick, she took control of the Shuriken and spun them around herself before flinging them back to Greninja, which have exploded against her feet as she jumped back, creating a small explosion letting dirt and water droplets obscure the starter. Grass Knot. The water starter was then entwined in grass which has grown below her feet, and was lifted into the air. Dig. Being brought down into the obscuring dirt and water droplets, they had to wait and see that in place of where they thought they'd see Greninja, it was a hole and used grass. Within seconds, the ninja Pokemon burst from the ground, giving an uppercut to Foxy's chin in a display so epic. The action was repeated not once, not twice, but 3 total times like you see on an action TV show before she was allowed to fall to the ground. However, that was not the finishing blow as the Fox Pokemon was still able to get up, raising her wand as a final stand. Water Shuriken. Flamethrower. Flipping back with her hands and feet, Greninja formed a water star on her back which she grabbed, and leapt high into the air to deliver the final strike. As Foxy let loose a stream of fire which encompassed the shiny water starter, she hissed from the pain while closing her eyes, only to open them again with determination and delivered the last slash as she landed behind the shiny Fox Pokemon, spinning the Shuriken around in her hand above her head before placing it on her back, just before Foxy fell onto the ground with a moan, defeated. Foxy is unable to battle. Greninja wins, and the match goes to Ash Ketchum. Foxy opened her eyes with pained effort as she saw Greninja, reverting back to normal, offering a hand. Smiling in graceful defeat, the Fox Pokemon accepted the gesture and was helped up. The 2 Pokemon nodded, acknowledging each other for their spirit. And that's that, it's decided. Ash will be moving on to the finals with Alon. Ash did it. Shauna cheered. Way to go, yay. Way to go indeed, Ash. Trevor chuckled. Congratulations. Monique gave her own positive encouragement. Whoa, Ash is awesome. What a win, Tierno remarked, causing Shauna to giggle. That's our Ash, but only Serena could push him so hard. They both were equally great. Let's give another big round of applause for this stupendous battle, the announcer suggested, and the trainers were given a loud cheering for as Ash walked up to Serena. So, our first battle together and you beat me. The blonde tomboy sighed. But hey, you were doing pretty great. Ash pointed out. You were the most difficult challenge I've faced yet. You really pushed us to our limits, and I couldn't be more grateful. Except that I'm more grateful I could love someone like you. Oh, Ash. Serena hugged her boyfriend, and the crowd went wild. The trainers then turned to their Pokémon. Thank you. Both of them said, I'm so proud of you, Foxy. You were awesome, Greninja. The two Pokémon blushed from such compliments and chuckled. How incredible. Diantha thought to herself. If Ash and his friends can display that kind of tenacity and power for the incoming crisis, all hope may not be lost. There's my amazing boyfriend. Shauna ran into Ash's arms in the waiting rooms as they hugged and kissed. Hey, don't leave me out. Serena giggled as she got his lips as well. You made it to the finals, Ash, Trevor said. Congratulations. How do you feel? That I could win this whole thing. Alon's the only one left. To think though. Monique's face filled with worry. We've only ever seen him use Charizard. We don't know what the other 5 is. He may have the element of surprise, but my team is the best of this whole tournament. Ash reassured her. So don't worry. I'm going to win it for us, and those who couldn't compete like Shauna tried to do. As they talked, Alon walked through the hallways, thinking about the match he'd have tomorrow. Enjoy your victory while you can. I'm going to prove that I'm the strongest. Not even your special super form with your Greninja will help you now. Before the big match, the group of 5 teenagers were having a delicious breakfast, waffles with maple syrup. So yummy, Shauna exclaimed. It's been so long since I've had waffles. And I've never even had any before, Monique remarked as she gobbled hers up. So sweet. They're certainly delicious. Right, Trevor? Serena asked the redhead, but he didn't respond. Trevor? Trevs? She looked down to her left to see that he was staring off at something. From Trevor's perspective, it's like everything else disappeared. Sparkles were both in his eyes and in the air. Everything had a pink tint around the corners, and the music of Romeo and Juliet Fantasy Overture by Tchaikovsky, 25-minute video, 8:55 to 9:30, played as he saw his dream girl. A girl around to be his age of 18, a girl in green cargo pants with red suspenders and a yellow shirt. A green cap with orange triangles and short dark red hair underneath. This girl was the most prettiest he's ever seen. Once she noticed both what, or who, he was looking at and noticing all the love stuff I mentioned, she giggled. Oh, found your love at first sight, I see. A record scratched as Trevor came back to reality and mumbled to himself. Huh? Well, I don't know, she just seemed, maybe cute? Trevor's got a crush, Shauna giggled, further embarrassing the poor boy. Shauna, that's embarrassing. He slouched down to not appear as noticeable. Well, this certainly came out of nowhere. Ash chuckled. I didn't think you were into girls. Not that I'm implying you're gay or asexual or anything, but it seemed like Pokémon and knowledge was always something you'd put first. Well, I just never met someone that I liked looking at so much before. We should introduce them. Monique suggested. Oh, let's. Shauna and Serena chuckled mischievously at the same time with connected eye contact and simultaneous nods. Wait, no please. Trevor tried to protest, but Serena stood up and proceeded to pick him up effortlessly. Too late. This is going to be so entertaining. Carrying the short redhead like a log over her shoulder, she walked to the girl and tapped her shoulder. Huh? What is it? Our friend here did the love at first sight thing, and he's totally embarrassed, so we wanted him to say hi. Plopping him down onto his feet, Trevor stiffened as if he were a log while Serena ran off to her friends. Toodaloo. Serena, you witch. He yelled out to her, turning his head but not his body. Turning his gaze back to the girl, he became all sweaty and started quivering. He closed his eyes tightly. Hi. The girl giggled. Hello. My name is Myron Bellamy Martin. Nice to meet you. Nini, nice to meet you too, Ma Myron. I'm Trevor C.R. Crouch. Hey Trevor. Yes. He opened his eyes to see Myron having hearts for eyes, everything going pink and heart-shaped, and the Romeo and Juliet music playing again. I think I'm falling at first sight too. Alley-oop. Just like Serena, Myron picked Trevor but bride style, making the boy yelp. Let's go somewhere more private. taking him away. The girls were laughing while Ash watched while eating his pancakes. Especially when Myron tripped over a can and fell onto Trevor. Haha, our little nerd in love, and he actually cursed at me for my action. I'm so proud he's finally growing a spine socially. The blonde tomboy sighed while wiping a tear from her eye. Well, just because he's socially awkward doesn't mean he should be made fun of for it. Monique tried to keep things fair. At least they're cute together. Shauna shrugged, then squealed. I just want to take pictures of them on their wedding day. Serena spat water out before howling with laughter. Trevor getting married? I mean, I think it's possible for him, but I think the priest would ask why a kid is getting married when he's probably 30 at that point. Serena, as funny as this is, you might want to lay off a bit. You're getting a bit too mean. Ash tried to rein her playful rudeness in. Come on Ash, I'm just joking. You of all people should know that. Ash Ketchum. Oh no, that voice. That heavy smoking voice. The heavy footsteps and smell of badly burnt toast. They turned to see Lysandre approaching them, still having a purloin in his hand. I'm here to congratulate you in a job well done reaching the finals. Yep, that Vilgax, Iron Giant fusion voice too. Actually, his presence was so intimidating that Monique scurried behind Ash, trembling and her irises shrunken down to near pin pricks in fright. Who are you and why do you smell like the devil? The Hex Maniac questioned the man as she pointed at him. He gave an amused, thunderous laugh. Muhahaha. What's wrong, child? Scared of a man of authority? No human could smell like you. The burnt toast reveals your true nature. Lysandre lost his smile, snarling. Shut up, you foolish girl. I'm just here to have a word with Ash. I don't have anything to say to someone who insults my friends. Said Trainer stood up to Lysandre, along with his girlfriends. The man of evil incarnate sneered in an attempt to smile. Well, how rude. I come to say congrats and this is how I'm treated. Fine, but we will be keeping a close eye on you and your team. Especially Greninja. As he left, he took a few steps before stopping and allowing a puff of smoke to rise before turning back, pointing his cigar at the group. You'd better be prepared. After all, you wouldn't want to not fulfill Olympia's prophecy, right? The teens gasped, and the malevolent man laughed mockingly one more time before crushing his spent cigar and letting the remains drop, and left. How did he know about the prophecy? Shauna asked. Guys, Monique asked. He's the one called Lysandre from my prophecy. How do you know such a horrid man? You haven't made a deal with him to break causality for yourselves, have you? The Hex Maniac pointed at each of them. No, we're just as creeped out by him as you are. Ash assured her with his hands up defensively. Even if we're not as open about it as you were. Serena said he could be the leader of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Excuse me, I have to do some preparations. The girl ran off, leaving her friends confused. What's wrong with her? Shauna pondered. When she mentioned Lysandre, she must have felt something evil about him. Serena deduced. If she remembered well what she had seen from that time, this would be easier. Ash remained silent, wondering what was going to happen. Later in the day, it was time. The final round of the Kalos League is upon us. After one fierce battle after another, one last battle remains. With Monique gone, it was just Serena, Shauna and Tierno. Where's Trevor? The tomboy asked. It was then he came back, a goofy lovey-dovey smile. Love-struck eyes and multiple kiss marks all over his face and hair. Whoa, you two really went at it, huh? Yeah. He slowly said like a love-drunk fool. Forgetting the stakes for a second, the two girls giggled from what they indirectly learned while Tierno slapped his back. My man. I knew you'd get it on eventually. Trevor popped out of his haze and stuttered angrily at him. It's not like that. Serena and Shauna couldn't help but laugh. And now it's time for our final match. So let's welcome the 2 trainers that have battled their way here, Ash Ketchum and Alon Silver. So it's finally time. Ash thought to himself as he took a deep breath with his eyes closed. Alon sure is strong to reach here with nothing but his Charizard, but I'll show him I'm not just a pushover. And now for the first battlefield for the finals, it's Water and Rock. The Kalos League battle between Ash and Alon is about to get underway. The referee shouted. When all 6 of either trainer are unable to continue, the battle will be over. In addition, When 3 of the Pokémon on one side are unable to continue, the battlefield will change. Bring out your Pokémon. Hydreigon, go! To everyone's shock, Alon sent out a new Pokémon, which was the dreaded triple-headed brutal Pokémon. There was a Mega Stone in a necklace around the middle neck. So he's going for something different. I better keep an eye out for any of his tricks. Florges, I choose you. Hydreigon, go beyond evolution. Mega Evolve. Alon commanded as he had his dark, dragon-type transform in bright light. Its 3 heads moved upwards towards the shoulders, its lower half became bulkier, and the wings became longer and more scythe-shaped from certain angles. By the time the transformation was done with the rainbow DNA helix, Hydreigon now looked like an arm-less dragon, its arms having moved so that they really were like 3 heads on top of necks, each snapping and roaring with power. Florges, surpass evolution. Mega Evolve. As soon as that was finished, Ash ordered, Moonblast. Counter with Flash Cannon. All 3 heads charged up silver energy, which was unleashed as a massive stream which not only stalemated the fairy move, it outright pushed the thing back with sheer force without slowing down, and Ash plus Florges was too shocked to even think about dodging it as she was blown back by a point-blank explosion into her, forcing the garden Pokémon to crash into the ground on her back, yelling in pain from such a powerful attack. Wow, I knew Steel-type's moves worked against Fairy-type moves, but how was Alon able to defeat Moonblast so effectively? Hydreigon might be more offensively powerful than Florges. In that case, Florges, return. Oh my, after just one powerful hit, Ash is already recalling his Pokémon. Geesh, that Hydreigon sure is strong. Shauna gulped. What do you think Ash will do? She asked Serena, whom smiled. I know. Lucario, I choose you. Sending out his Aura Pokémon, Ash then Mega Evolved him. Keep alert for this one, Lucario. Sense him with your aura. The blue and black jackal grunted with a nod, closing his eyes. Use Fire Blast. Jump and use Aura Sphere. Leaping up and forming his signature attack, Lucario launched the Orb of Fighting Energy, but it simply passed through the Pokémon and exploded behind it. What? Both he and Lucario were shocked. Focus Blast. Deflected with 2 Aura Spheres. Forming one in each palm, the Aura Pokémon pushed them into the upper side of the incoming Focus Blast, and was pushed high into the air while the bigger fighting orb crashed to the ground, exploding upon contact. After a bit, the fighting, Steel-type landed on all 4s before standing. Hydreigon are normally dark, dragon types, but it seems like it switched types. Trevor noted. Ghost types are immune to fighting type moves. So his 2 greatest moves are nullified? Shauna yelled. What an interesting mega evolution, Monique said, rather liking the form. Fire Blast. In a flash of good thinking, Ash yelled. Use Aura Sphere on the stream. Creating another orb, Lucario launched the sphere at the running water, causing it to provide an environmental shield which caught the Fire Blast, creating a lot of steam. Flash Cannon. From the steam, a beam of silver energy shot through it, Hydreigon getting blasted in the torso from the attack and roaring as it was pushed far back. Seeing Lucario jump onto the rocks and run across them to his left, Alon ordered. Fire Blast. Stone Edge. Leaping down before the attack could connect, the Aura Pokémon formed small spheres as he rolled as fired them as soon as he got to his feet. And considering the small amount of distance between them, Hydreigon was bombarded by the sharp rocks and roared in pain while backing up, before transforming back to normal and fainting. Hydreigon is unable to battle. The winner is Lucario. All right. Both Serena and Shauna cheered at the same time as they stood up. Even with having a defensive advantage, Hydreigon couldn't handle Lucario's speed and hard-hitting attacks. Trevor nodded with a smile. I hope Hydreigon is okay, Monique commented, but Serena yelled at her. Whose side are you on anyway? Eep. The Hex Maniac yelped and pulled her hair over her face. Porygon Z, go. Alon sent his next Pokémon out, looking like a weird blobby thing colored blue and pink and somewhat resembled a one-legged duck. A Mega Stone was strapped to the middle of its body. Beyond evolution. Mega Evolve. Porygon Z's arms floated off and split into 6 wing-like appendages. Its body became a bit grooved, and several protrusions sprouted out of its head along with the main spike on the top of its head. Lucario, Aura Sphere. Creating a blue orb of fighting energy, He launched it at the virtual Pokémon, but Alon countered. Use Psychic. Its quirky eyes glowed blue as the Aurasphere stopped the attack, and easily sent it back at the surprised Jackal, which it exploded against. Lucario. Now use Thunderbolt, generating electricity. The levitating normal, electric type fired a bolt that electrocuted the Aura Pokémon, causing him to howl in sheer pain before the attack exploded. When the smoke cleared, Lucario was out cold and back to normal. Lucario is unable to battle. The winner is Porygon Z. In just one turn, Serena gasped. And so fast, Trevor gulped. It was able to make those attacks rather swiftly. Ash can beat Alon, Shauna declared. Go Ash, go, Monique joined her. Come on Ash, you can do it, Florges, I choose you. Ash sent out his mega-evolved garden Pokémon. Thunderbolt. Calm mind. As quickly as Porygon Z was to charge up and fire, it wasn't enough before the fairy type closed her eyes and grew more stronger offensively and defensively before yelling in pain as she was electrocuted. Now use Psychic. Its weird eyes glowing blue, Florges now hovered high into the air unwillingly, and tried to wiggle her way out. Moonblast. Forming a pink ball, she fired it at the distracted virtual Pokémon trying to attack her, and buzzed in discomfort as it was pushed back. Now use Wish. Waving her right arm over her head, Florges created a star to shine over the field. Use Tri-Attack. Dodge and use Calm Mind. Porygon Z formed 3 orbs of electricity, ice and fire, and launched them at the garden Pokémon, but she was able to evade just in time and boosted her offense and defense again. Not to mention Wish activating and restoring her health as she glowed white. Thunderbolt. Moonblast. Forming a much larger pink sphere, Florges used it to brunt the electrical charge at her, and pushed it against the attack, completely overwhelming the attack and exploding humorously against the virtual Pokémon. Alon had to brace against the shockwave and dirt, grunting from the effort before seeing the results. Porygon Z down and out while back to normal. Porygon Z is unable to battle. The winner is Florges. After her initial retreat, Florges was able to snag a win after all thanks to her stellar defense, the announcer yelled. Wow, that was so great, Serena commented with joy. Ash sure knows how to use his strengths well. Trevor agreed with a nod. I trust Ash can win this all the way, Monique cheered. Go Ash go. Metagross, let's go. Once the Iron Leg Pokémon was out, Alon shouted, Beyond Evolution, Mega Evolve. Like before, Ash recognized the improved state of the Steel, Psychic type, sporting 8 legs and a more dangerous face. Use Moonblast. Counter with agility. Before the garden Pokémon could fire her pink ball, Metagross started to fly around the arena super fast, leaving afterimages to confuse Florges, not able to know where to fire. Meteor Mash. Glowing blue. The Iron Leg Pokémon tucked its 4 arms in and rammed into the back of Florges while spinning, pushing the shocked fairy type into her own attack, which resulted in a powerful explosion. Florges. Ash yelled out in worry. Thrown to his feet, there was Florges, defeated. Florges is unable to battle. The winner is Metagross. Florges, return. Sorry that was painful in the end. You were doing so good. Garchomp, I choose you. Sending out his own pseudo-legendary, Ash shouted, Surpass Evolution. Mega Evolve. When that was done, Alon went first. Hammer Arm. Counter with Brick Break. Both Pokémon's arms began to glow white, and even with an additional 2 arms for attack, the mock Pokémon's superior power was able to stop Metagross dead in its tracks with the sides of his arms, and pushed it back. Now use Dig. Burrowing underground, it didn't take long for Alon to take his next move. Fly up and use Meteor Mash against the ground. Going up high, the Steel, Psychic type made a big U-turn as it began to glow blue and spin around, now resembling like an actual comet. Now, Ash pleaded, and Garchomp burst from the ground. The 2 attacks connected at the same time, and the 2 extreme forces resulted in an explosion. When both Pokémon fell out of the smoke, they were normal and unconscious. Both Pokémon are unable to battle. This one is a draw via double knockout, and with both trainers down 3 Pokémon, it's now time to change the field. Ash and Alon returned their Pokémon so that they wouldn't be taken with the field. So everything is even now. Trevor gulped as he trembled. One wrong move, and this could all be over. I can tell what you mean, Trevor. Tierno agreed. I'm nervous and I'm in the audience. Well, I believe he'll win, no matter what, Serena yelled at them. If we start doubting if he can win, then hope will slip away. Come on, Ash, you can do this. Ash smiled as he could hear her somehow over the cheers of the fans. The exciting Kalos League continues. Our second half battlefield is grass. What change will this have for our finalists? Gallade, let's go. Alon sent his fourth Pokemon out, which was the Blade Pokemon. He wore a necklace around his neck that had a Mega Stone. Talonflame, I choose you. Beyond Evolution. Mega Evolve. As the Psychic, Fighting type began to glow, the blades sprouting from its arms lengthened and sharpened, and two flapping cape-like protrusions flowed from the top of his back. The spikes on its head grew before the transformation was finished, and with the rainbow helix overhead, the now predominantly white Mega Gallade looked like a Pokemon Knight. He even began to glow white as the ability Huge Power took effect. Use Brave Bird. Counter with Stone Edge. Thanks to his superior speed, Talonflame was able to weave around the incoming rocks, and successfully slammed into the Psychic, Fighting type, whom had to put his bladed arms up to block while being pushed back considerably. Use Psycho Cut. His arms glowing a purplish pink, the Blade Pokemon slashed against the recoiling Scorching Pokemon, the bird crying out before falling to the ground unconscious. Talonflame is unable to battle. The winner is Gallade. Talonflame, return. Thanks, now we can win this round. Charizard, I choose you. Summoning his Kanto starter, he pressed one of his keystones. Surpass Evolution. Mega Evolve. Turning into Charizard Y, and thus making the sun shine even brighter, both trainers made their move. Use Stone Edge. Counter with Solar Beam. Despite the higher amount of power that was put into the barrage of stones heading for Charizard, the stream that was made of grass energy was too powerful to stop as they were obliterated without putting up too much resistance, and Gallade was too taken aback with fear before he was defeated with an explosion, flying back with a pained shout until he skidded across the ground, transforming back to normal. Gallade is unable to battle. The winner is Charizard. Gallade, return. Dusknoir, let's go. Once the Gripper Pokemon with a Mega Stone strapped to its forehead came out, Alon shouted, Beyond Evolution. Mega Evolve. Glowing brightly, the ghost split horizontally into two, along with its arms growing bulkier, the protrusions around its neck and on top of its head growing bigger. Upon completion, the stomach face it had seems to have become almost like it was alive with red eyes and a dark sphere in between the floating upper and lower sections. Like Gallade, it also started to glow with huge power. Whoa, that actually looks really creepy looking. Schwanna shivered from looking at the newly evolved ghost, dark type. Though Monique was reacting the opposite. So cool. She was practically drooling. Fire Blast, Ash commanded. Spewing its most powerful attack, Alon countered against the attack. Brace for it, then use Trick Room. Crossing its arms, the Gripper Pokemon endured the explosion of a truly powerful fiery attack. That was before the field was encased with a checkered room surrounding the area. What the? Ash questioned the move, unfamiliar with it. Now use Thunder Punch. Obeying its master's demands, Dusknoir swiped the smoke away while charging up a lightning-covered punch. Counter with, but Ash wouldn't be able to say what to do next when the Pokemon zoomed forward and socked Charizard right in the face, sending him crashing into the ground where he reverted back to normal. Charizard is unable to battle. The winner is Dusknoir. What the? How did it get so fast? Ash asked in bewilderment. Oh no, it looks like Ash is in a corner now that his and Alon's Pokemon team now have switched speed for the next 5 turns, and with Greninja being his only Pokemon left, he's at a huge disadvantage. Oh no, Serena gasped. And with Greninja being as frail as she is, all she can take is one hit. Alon's finally turned things around against Ash. Trevor gulped. Ash will have to be very careful from here on out. And it's not just that, but if Greninja beats Dusknoir then she'll transform, and that extra speed will be used against her by Alon's Charizard, Shauna concluded. Poor Ash. Monique commented as she was now truly worried for her friend instead of fawning over the ghost, dark type. So Ash, what will you do to get out of this predicament? Diantha wondered aloud. What will you and Greninja do? After trying to think of a strategy, Ash thinks he's got one. Greninja, I choose you. His last standing Pokemon, his shiny ninja, Grenina. Use dig. Thunder punch. Charging up its fist again, it attempted to punch the water type, but she was barely able to duck and burrow underground. Please, you're only delaying the inevitable. Alon scoffed. What could you do that would catch me off guard? Dusknoid is fast enough to react to anything we're expecting. Well, I bet you're not expecting this. Blind him. Bursting from the ground in front of Dusknoir, Greninja shot her tongue into the gripper Pokémon's face, having actually caught it off guard before landing on its back. Ice Beam. With her mouth open, the water type was easily able to shoot a beam of icy energy into said back, freezing the ghost, dark type as a result as it transformed back into its regular state. Dusknoir is unable to battle. The winner is Greninja. As soon as the referee said that, the ninja Pokémon evolved into Ash Greninja with her water tornado transition. Charizard, let's go. So it was down to this. Starter versus starter, one fire and the other water. Greninja may have type advantage, but with her speed swapped with the flame Pokémons she was slower and more fragile. This will be the deciding battle. Beyond evolution. Mega Evolve. This was what Ash was prepared for. Charizard X. Now, use Flamethrower. Flying up, the fire, dragon type breathed a stream of blue fire, enhanced by the sun that Ash's Charizard had powered up earlier. Dodge it, sprinting forward, she was able to evade the incoming flames. Now use dig, go deep, burrowing underground, it was a guessing game where she would be. We won't let you escape. Blast burn. Descending down fast and hard, the flame Pokémon punched the ground which started to crack with glowing, heated energy before the area blew up in a magnificent display of power. The smoke soon cleared to show Charizard in the epicenter of a smoking crater, and a hole that was deeper than the range of the blast. Now use Dark Pulse. Bursting from the ground outside of the crater, the ninja Pokémon used a barrage of black and purple rings to bombard the recovering fire starter, roaring in pain. How can this be? Alon gasped. Well, here's how it is, Alon. Ash said as he pointed to his head. While Greninja may still be slower than Charizard, at least she's faster than with Dusknoir. Plus I'd imagine the gap in speed between our starters are smaller, so she'll be able to react faster. Alon growled that Ash was playing his disadvantage well instead of floundering as he was expecting. Dragon Claw. Dig. Greninja was able to go back underground before Charizard had the chance to strike where she was, since he had to flap his wings to fly up then straight. Use Flamethrower. Breathing fire into the hole Greninja created, the other holes started to glow blue, indicating they were connected. Water Shuriken. Leaping out of an old hole which soon burst with blue flame, the ninja Pokémon threw 3 water stars at the fire, dragon type. Counter with Dragon Claw. With glowing green claws, Charizard was able to slash through the attacks, causing them to explode without harming himself. Keep it up. Now defend with Water Shuriken. Gripping a star on her back, the ninja Pokémon proceeded to parry away the strikes. While she was struggling against his superior speed, the way she was parrying did allow her to react better as she directed his attacks. Blast her away with Flamethrower. With an exhale, Charizard was able to push the screeching water frog back with a powerful fire move. Water Shuriken. Not down and out yet, she formed another star and brought it in front of her to spin really fast, the two moves interacting by creating some obscuring vapor. Flamethrower. Again. Use Water Shuriken on the ground. While the flame Pokémon produced another plume of fire, a wave of water surged from Greninja's spot as the two moves exploded in between, mixing steam and smoke. Use Dark Pulse. Dodge it. Flying up, the fire, dragon type was able to evade the incoming barrage, but it was also in that moment that Trick Room faded away. No. Use Dragon Claw. Block with Water Shuriken. With her speed back, she was able to keep the green claws from reaching her, but the block instead of a parry resulted in her being pushed back onto Ash's side of the field. Get up close to use Blast Burn. Wait for it, Ash said. Rising up high, Charizard then turned so that he'd go back down with his attack prepared. Greninja leapt back when the flame Pokémon hit the ground. Now, Water Shuriken. Leaping high into the air just as the attack completed, and in fact using the shockwave to go even higher, the ninja Pokémon formed the largest star she created, big enough that a car could fit within the circumference, and came down to slash against the horror-stricken Charizard, slashing down onto his head while the shuriken exploded into a geyser, drenching everything around them. Everyone was shocked as they saw the water receding, and it showed Greninja standing on top of a regular Charizard's back. Charizard is unable to battle. Greninja wins, which means Ash is the champion. It's over. Everyone cheered, but none so more than his friends. Ash won. Yay! Shauna celebrated as she and Serena hugged each other while jumping up and down. I'm so proud of my Ash, he gave it everything he had. What an amazing battle, Tierno remarked. It was close, but he managed to win it all, Monique praised. The Hex Maniac closed her eyes and prayed. Thank you, spirits. Talk about a great and passionate battle. Trevor nodded. He deserves it. Haha, great job, Greninja. You were awesome. Ash congratulated his starter as she transformed back, whom nodded with happy-looking eyes. Ash. They turned to see Alon walk up to them, returning his Pokémon. How could you win in the end like that? I had you cornered with Trick Room. You should have been defeated since my Pokémon were faster and your Pokémon were more frail. That's the thing though. You were focused on taking me down for revenge. Despite your good tactics, that blinded you from doing your best. Alon simply looked away in solemn disgust. Professor Sycamore didn't deserve to be ruined by you and your friend's hands. Ash lost his smile, and he looked down, looking remorseful. I'm sorry about the former professor. It wasn't our intention to make him quit. We didn't think that was going to happen. Contemplating, Ash then said, Alon, please forgive our mistake. If we could take it back we would. There's no use for grudges or revenge. It's not healthy. After all, did your Charizard want revenge? Alon didn't say anything. If anything, he just walked away. Sometime later in the Pokémon Center, Ash was getting praised by his friends. That was spectacular, Ash, Tierno remarked. Now you'll get to face off against the Elite Four in the near future. I'm so happy for you, Ash, Monique added with a raised fist. That was probably the best battle I've seen ever, Trevor complimented. Such tenacity and cunning. It was then that Serena and Shauna hugged Ash from both sides and each kissed a cheek. That's our Ash, they both giggled. Thanks. I love you both. Kissing Shauna then Serena, the two girls giggled even more. When it was time, Ash, and his friends surrounding him, they walked to a stage in the middle of the battlefield he won on, where the trainer accepted a trophy from the champion herself. Ash, it's the bond between you and your Pokémon that you were able to prevail. You have shown unparalleled strength that has never been seen before. I applaud to you. Thank you so much, Diantha. However, the ceremony was cut short when giant, red-veined tree roots burst through the walls of the Colosseum, causing the mass of people to panic while those in the field were taken aback. What are those? Diantha questioned with terror. What's going on? It was then that Squishy, whom has been hiding in Shauna's bag the whole time, jumped out and slithered away. Squishy, wait, Shauna, don't leave now, Serena called out as her friends followed her. Nature is on the attack. Ash and his friends were running through a corridor, jumping and ducking around giant red-veined roots. They had to take a moment in an untouched room to max revive both Ash and Alon's Pokémon. Alon was therefore running alongside them. I've got to get to Myron, Alon exclaimed. A friend of yours? Shauna asked, quite loudly since she was running in basically an obstacle course. Yeah? He replied unresponsively. Then we can go find her, Ash offered. The more the merrier, especially in something like this. Wait for me. I don't have long legs like you all do, Trevor called to them, having trouble jumping or climbing the roots. Oh, give me a break. Serena rolled her eyes and went back to put him on her back. You seriously need to drink your milk, Squirt. Is now really the time to be making fun of me? The short redhead talked back to her in an irritated way. Gasping from his response, the blonde tomboy took a second as she grinned with pride and looked forward. I guess not. Hold on, Trev, this will get bumpy. Like the athlete she is, she displayed a good amount of dexterity as she effortlessly jumped over some of the roots again despite the living luggage on her back as she took the lead. She's quite strong, Alon remarked. Yeah, she's just cool that way. Ash chuckled. Making it out of the building, Serena placed Trevor down. Oh no, it's all over the place, Monique uttered while trembling. The Hex Maniac dropped to her knees as she ran her hands through her thick purple hair with a stressed look. My vision. I remember now. Lysandre did this. He's using Zygarde to cause all this destruction. Wait, Squishy? Oh no. Squishy disappeared. Shauna cried out in fear. Monique then pointed as her swirly eyes stared at Prism Tower. ZY Zygarde. They looked at where she was pointing and saw a red and black snake-like thing on the top of Prism Tower. These vines must be coming from that. I'm sure of it, Alon said. Turning to Shauna, he asked, is Squishy a little green thing that has one eye? Yes. She wondered how he knew that, though he must have seen it poke out of her bag. Then there's a likely chance Squishy is heading for Prism Tower to confront that thing. But it's so little and cute, I need to save Squishy. Good thing I had these on me, Trevor said as he dug into his backpack and got out some colorful walkie-talkies. We've never really needed these, but I brought these along from the beginning in case we needed to split up and know of the other's whereabouts and status. Good planning, Trevor. Ash laughed as he took one. Monica, we'll need you to come with us since you don't have a full team of 6. You 3 go find Squishy. Right. All his friends nodded as the group split apart. Ash, Monica and Alon looking for Myron while Serena, Shauna and Trevor looked for Squishy. Soon after, the first group managed to spot her on a high ledge of the area. Myron. Myron. Alon called to her. Alon. The female responded with a relieved look. Myron, we need to. The male trainer would never get the chance to finish his sentence as a giant root sprouted up in between Myron and the 3 trainers. I'll save you. Charizard. Use Dragon Claw. Sending out his starter, the Cantonian fire type roared as he flew up and slashed at the root, clearing a way for the girl when 2 more sprouted up. Garchomp. Use Dragon Claw as well. Ash sent out his mock Pokemon, who slashed through both of the roots but 3 more took their place. They're growing faster than we can cut them. Ice Punch. Faster than Garchomp had time to react, a Mega Weavile socked the pseudo-legendary right in the face with an ice-covered claw, defeating the dragon, ground type due to its 4x weakness as he crashed into the ground. The 3 looked up to see it was Asnix again. Now then, here we are finally. You again? Ash growled as he returned his Pokemon. We don't have time for you. Oh, but I have a new directive. Capturing you. Throwing a robotic orb down to their feet, Alon was able to run away fast enough before Ash and Monique were shocked, screaming as they were zapped into unconsciousness as they crumpled to the ground. Grunts came from the woodwork metaphorically and put the 2 into cuffs and dragged them away. Alon looked away, for this was not what he imagined what would happen today. As for the others, they were about to run past a TV store when a black flame-like insignia popped up. Your attention please. Lysandre's voice called out, stopping the 3. Wait, that's Lysandre, Trevor pointed out, so he and the 2 girls stopped to see said man appear on screen, whom was grinning evilly. Hello, my precious Kalos region, along with the entire world. I am Malvine, Lysandre, Scarlord, and I have a message. Lysandre Labs that is causing this destruction, and they will do my bidding. We are here to remake the world in my beautiful and peaceful image. Our purpose is to transform the world into an exquisite example of creation. The screens then switched to the black and red snake. This is Zygarde, a legendary Pokemon who will preside over the new order of my world. As leaders of this new order, we decided to join forces with this guardian of creation. Zygarde is angry at you all, humanity and Pokemon alike. The discipline of this world has been lost, out of control in its endless greed and insatiable wants, unwilling to share all the resources that we've been provided either by nature or our own hand. We lie, cheat and steal when we can't have something. In order to live in peace, we shall wipe the slate clean. Only those that are aligned with me will be spared. All the rest of you poor scum will be eradicated for the sake of those sharing my image. Lysandre Labs along with the fury of Zygarde will burn this world down, and from the ashes will a world that we desire be born from it. Ash. Serena mouthed, worried about what he's going through. Touching down somewhere else in an aircraft, Alon stepped out of it, only to be met with a familiar face. Welcome Alon. It's been a while, the teen gasped. Professor Sycamore. Standing before him was the former professor whom was wearing a dark blue suit and regular gold-rimmed blue-tinted shades. His hair is slicked back and is now sporting a goatee like all some evil people have. Yes. How long has it been? And it's not Augustus or Sycamore now. It's Mariko 6 now. What does this have to do with Zygarde? What does this have to do with Ash like this? Now, there's no need to worry about that. Mariko 6 chuckled. He will give you all details you're asking for. Follow me. Walking in a direction, he led Alon to the top of Prism Tower, where Lysandre stood. Lysandre? Ah, there you are, Alon. The evil mastermind turned to his left. It seems you've caught up with Mariko 6. Such a shame, being broken by his former friends leading on with a wild goose chase of his life's work for 25 years. Let's see them laughing now when this is all done. Look at it. Isn't it exquisite? Thanks to you, the system is complete. The world will be at peace, just as I have worked toward. Behold as this ugly world disappear thanks to Zygarde. It represents all our anger and rage. But you're hurting innocent people. How is that considered good? You said you'd protect us. Just because I said us, I didn't mean all of us. Only those that appreciate high standards of living will live on in this new world order. The poor and middle class have no place, for their hunger and greed are bottomless. It was then that a green and black dog appeared before Zygarde. Oh, so you've arrived, Z1. The two Pokémon growled at each other, trying to communicate before both traded 2 Dragon Pulses, before Z1 was blasted away and reverted back into Squishy as it fell down to the ground. Well, that was pointless. Anyway, what do you think? Lysandre, it's just as you said. You have to be strong to protect the world. Is this what you meant all along? Well, duh. I mean, look at me. Did you honestly think someone who looks and sounds like me could actually be benevolent? Only Ash and his group realize. Along with that, you speak about protecting. What do you want to protect most of all? Allow me to either bring it with me to my new world, or take it away so that you're no longer distracted. If it's a tomorrow worse than today, then you have nothing worth protecting. Alon growled, feeling betrayed. Mariko 6 received word in an earpiece attached to his ear and grinned. All preparations are complete. Excellent. From a higher floor, Ash rose up, his hands and feet trapped in floating orbs, along with his Pokémon. Reaching the base of Prism Tower, the 3 teens tried to enter, but a focus blast pushed them all back as they yelled from the force, falling onto their backs. It was X-Diox and his Mega Alakazam. My apologies, but I can't allow you to step any further than this. Outsiders are not allowed. Ash was waking up from his shock-induced slumber and realized that he was trapped. Huh? What's happening? Where's Monica? He tried to move with grunts of effort, but his limbs wouldn't budge. EV everyone, he cried out when he noticed his Pokémon. Hello, Ash. The trainer looked down to see Lysandre. What's going on? Let us go. Pardon me for the rough treatment, but I knew you wouldn't go down quietly, and most likely beat my members with your top-tier team, so this was necessary. Alon, what's wait, is that you, Professor Sycamore? I'm not him anymore. Now it's Mariko 6. But rejoice, Ash. I thought you were special, and I was right. You have been chosen to lead my people into a new world. Lysandre chuckled malevolently. It was then that Squishy started flying up again, gathering even more cores and became more than just a canine. This time, turning into the same snake that the red Zygarde was. Ah, now there's Z1 Zygarde. Wait, so Squishy and Zygarde are the same thing? Ash asked. The two halves of a legendary Pokémon leapt at each other, ready to clash. Wait, so Squishy and Zygarde are the same thing? Ash asked. The two halves of a legendary Pokémon leapt at each other, ready to clash. Yes. Your so-called Squishy is part of a legendary Pokémon who watches over this world and punishes those that dare disrupt its order. Lysandre answered. You are witnessing the rage of Zygarde, as well as Lysandre Labs. This world will start over again. Soon enough the other Zygarde will come around to our way of thinking, then turn red with rage. No, you're wrong. Squishy will never win mandatory fight that involves an ally turning to the dark side. Dang it. How could this have happened? Ash cried out. Lysandre laughed evilly in response. See? Even the story wants to get this over with by skipping everything in between then and its eventual downfall. Alon, this is all thanks to you, my boy. All that Mega Evolution energy you gave us power. The power to control Zygarde. The trainer was horrified by that revelation. The energy you gathered in all those battles are proving quite useful, destroying this imperfect world. There's no tomorrow for this world. Everything you wish to protect of this world that's not worthy, I'll erase it. The end of the world is beautiful. The first step towards peace. Alon could do nothing but fall to his knees and hands, the consequences too heavy for his shoulders as he punched the ground with a grunt. Myron. Chespin. Is this the reason I had all those battles? All of them for this? Damn it. He kept punching the ground like that would solve anything while Ash watched sympathetically. Alon. It's for both their sake. Your wish had pure intent. Truly noble indeed. The only problem for you is, you listen to me. Then Lysandre turned to Ash. Ash, I'm going to use your battle bond phenomena in service to my new world. When I saw you and your friend's power, I was thrilled. You have shown me limitless possibilities with Pokemon still. And I want that power for my own. Two fly-like orb robots came up to Ash and Greninja, and shot red lasers at them which started to sap their energy. Ash started to feel numb or weird, along with Greninja. The energy from this light is powerful enough to control Zygarde. But now I'm going to control you too. No, he groaned. From this point on, both of you will answer to me. Muhahahaha. Lysandre stated before doing his booming maniacal laugh. No, Ash uttered, gaining their full attention. There's no way you're ever going to take control of us. You still fail to grasp the situation you're in, do you, Ash? When this world becomes nothing more than an ugly memory, you will guide all of humanity to a beautiful and prosperous future. I refuse. We won't ever change, Alon. I don't know what happened with you, but you have to help stop this now. I don't care what you have done. You just have to do what's right. After all, is this what you really wanted? Alon gasped when he heard those collection of words. I care about this world. I care for everyone who call this world home. And you won't destroy it no matter what. Besides, I said I won't lead your world, Lysandre. You want to know why? Greninja woke up with a determined look. Because I have plot armor? A tornado of water-like energy sprouted around Ash and Greninja, shocking the two men below him. Ash screamed as he broke both of the fly orb robots and his restraints, while his water starter started to evolve into her super form. Ash was able to touch down onto the floor, but the sapping of his energy did cause the trainer to nearly collapse, only for Alon to keep him up. Are you okay? Ha ha ha, how truly brilliant. Your bond surpasses even that of the energy of Mega Evolution. Ash, thanks to you my head is clear. Alon affirmed. We've got to stop this, together. Awesome, you're speaking my language, Ash chuckled. Charizard, let's go. Greninja, free the rest with Water Shuriken. With speed faster than any of them could see, Ash's Pokemon were freed by Greninja, and they all gathered to Ash's side. Do you honestly think you can defeat me? We must, Alon declared. We will prove to you that protecting someone takes real strength. By beating you, Lysandre lost his smile as he dropped the purloin he's been carrying the whole time. Alon, I'd say that you disappoint me, but I figured there always was the possibility you'd turn against me. I may have been hoping the two of you will lead with me in my new world, but maybe I was being too optimistic. Who are you to make that decision? Needed or not, there's no way we'll just accept the roles you want us to play. In that case, I've got no choice. Lysandre put on some headgear around his ears while a floating machine of metal appeared. It morphed with many little pieces as it surrounded the evil man, and he stepped into what appeared to be a mostly black suit of armor and orange spikes for accent, especially a lion's mane around his head. Now I'm no longer just Lysandre. In my new world, I will be known as Edgelord. You can tell my armor is evil and powerful due to being black, sharp and pointy. A.N. Imagine, look up the Hellbat suit but more lion-themed like Lysandre. 4 tentacles with cameras in the center of each and 3 claws extended from his back, and used them to climb up the tower to the hero's level. I will stop you. He then noted that Mariko 6. I sure hope you left out of loyalty instead of cowardice, old friend. As it would turn out, Lysandre was not the only one to have benefited from the story skip from earlier. Thanks to it, the next scene with Xdix was shown to be tied up, growling along with his defeated Alakazam from being outdone by Trevor and Clemont, helped by their Luxray, Heliolisk and Florges. Thanks for the assist. This is my gym. I'll defend my gym the best to my ability. Shauna, however, was not having a good time since she saw the corruption of her dear Squishy, as she cried that it was now red instead of green. Tell me, Lysandre. Ash yelled. How can you see this leading to peace? What made you come to all this? So you want to know my origin story, Fine. When I was 5, I had this lemonade stand. I was popular on the street. Too popular. They demanded more than I can offer. That was my first experience of mankind's ugly and greedy nature. I assumed it was just I was a naive child, but when I founded Lysandre Labs and gave everyone what they wanted in a time of darkness and despair, they still had the audacity to demand for more. That was when I found that humanity is just greedy and will never be satisfied. So you're mad because you just had some good stuff? Alon asked, sweating from the response. And what about killing everyone else? What drove you to see life so expendable like that? Why'd I see the life of those beneath me worthless? It's because I saw a squirrel die when I was 6. The teenagers were flabbergasted from such a weak reason. What? Was it killed by someone or chalked to death? Ash asked. No, turns out it was just from natural causes. But witnessing death so early, it made me come to believe that there's no life worth living when you just do so for no reason. I'm giving these people the honor of dying for my utopia. Alon could only shake his head in response. You're genuinely insane. Weird, that's what my mother said when I pushed my pet Lillipup down the stairs to his death in response of that squirrel dying just before. But enough talk, you both are blinded and sullied by the ugliness of this world. The people are nothing but arrogant fools, willing to destroy the world due to their greed. So I'll create a world of peace where everyone will have anything they'll ever need and never have to ask for more. It's time for a new start, my utopian dream. But that dream has no room for you. Lysandre sent out a Pyroar and a shiny Gyarados. Pressing a keystone equipped to his hand, he shouted, Gyarados. Release your Mega Evolution. Gyarados started to glow in a rainbow of colors as it grew much larger, the fins along its back much longer like that of a sail's and the spikes around its face growing sharper. The atrocious Pokémon roared as a rainbow helix glowed above it. Charizard, go beyond evolution. Mega Evolve. Alon shouted as he made his Firestarter evolve into Charizard X, roaring with power. Ash began to Mega Evolve each of his own Pokémon too, except Talonflame. Gyarados and Pyroar use Hyper Voice and Aqua Tail. The two red-colored Pokémon each shot a blast of fire charging surge of water respectively. Greninja, Water Shuriken, Florges, Energy Ball. Ash's two Pokémon retaliated with their supreme speed to counter each move with a super effective one, creating a massive cloud of smoke in between them. Talonflame, use Brave Bird. Pyroar, Hyper Beam. Despite the flying type's speed, Pyroar was able to fire a black and purple blast which not only stopped the scorching Pokémon, but knock it out in one go. Charizard, use Dragon Claw on Pyroar. As the fire, dragon Pokémon prepared an attack, Lysandre responded. Use Dragon Tail. Lucario, use Aura Sphere to counter Gyarados. Forming a ball of blue aura, the Aura Pokémon launched it at the incoming green glowing tail which managed to stop the attack dead in its tracks before exploding. Charizard was able to deliver two green glowing slashes against the royal Pokémon, and the fire, normal type crashed to the floor at Lysandre's feet with a groan. HMPH, useless. The villain then proceeded to kick the down and out Pokémon, sending it over the edge and plummeting to the ground. Charizard, save Pyroar, Ash called out, so the Y version of Mega Charizard went to catch the falling lion. We won't let you win. We'll save Squishy, and save the world from your selfishness, Ash declared. To be continued. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts and reviews in the comment box. Now I will see you in the next video.